by a radical district attorney because I guess George Soros wasn't in charge of New York City and getting DAs elected back in the 60s. But it's a great movie if you ever get the chance to see it. If you're looking for something to watch, it's also in black and white. And I know a lot of you youngsters, Justin and Sean, you don't watch black and white movies, do you? When was the last time you watched a black and white movie, Justin?
I'd have to say that would be in college when I was tasked to watch black and white movies for my degree.
And what degree required you to watch black and white movies?
Radio, television, and film.
Oh, okay, good. So you actually may have studied some actual real cinematic classics like, I don't know, Citizen Kane or maybe Casablanca, the greatest movie of the early part of the 20th century.
Mm-hmm.
And what about Raging Bull? Because that's actually from the 80s, and it's a black and white film, but I think it's one of the greatest American films ever made.
I can't remember us watching Raging Bull. We might have, and I just don't remember.
You would remember Raging Bull.
Then I guess we did.
You would remember the story of Jake LaMotta. And then Not Crazy Politically, Robert De Niro. It's a great film. Absolutely a great film. But anyway, like I said, I've fallen off the rails here. We're waiting the Daniel Penny jury to come up with something. They're deadlocked on the manslaughter case. They may be deadlocked on the second charge, too. I think that there's extreme pressure for them to get some kind of verdict against this guy, this hero. And it's just wrong. On every level, it's wrong. And I even think you're starting to see people stand up and say, yeah, this is wrong. I believe the mayor of New York, the guy whose political life is also hanging in the balance, is also standing up and saying, you know, this really isn't right. Eric Adams, and this is cut 11 on the cut sheet, you guys. New York City Mayor Eric Adams is actually defending Daniel Penny for protecting subway passengers, and he's blasting the New York City media, the mainstream media, which he should.
You can look at that on a multi-faceted approach of everything that's wrong with the system that we're facing. One, look at the photo that they used to show the victims. It seemed like it was a young, innocent child who was brutally murdered, and it gave that impression. When you looked at the photo that was being used, it wanted to set up in the minds of people that we were dealing with a young, innocent child that, you know, just a Michael Jackson intimidator that, you know, was just brutally assaulted. Then you look at the complete failure of our mental health system, a complete failure from the days of closing psychiatric wards and having those who needed help just turned over into the street without giving any safety net to accept them. Parents reach out to me all the time and say, I'm watching my child go down, or my loved one, my family member going down this serious decline. What do we do? A system where you brought people into hospitals, gave them medicine for one day, and sent them back. The young man in this case was going within our system, throughout the revolving door of our system. Now, we're on the subway where we're hearing someone talking about hurting people, killing people. You have someone on that subway who was responding, doing what we should have done as a city and a state of having a mental health facility. Those passengers were afraid. I'm hoping that the jury will hear all the facts. Based on all the facts that's laid out, a jury of his peers will make the right decision. And I don't want to prejudge that. I'm just looking at all the facts that are involved here and what we did to get to where we are and what we're seeing. Because that could have easily been a case where you saw 3 innocent people murdered on our street 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, he's right. That's Mayor Adams. I appreciate what he's saying, but I was paying attention to that clip. Did he say that Jordan Neely, the guy who died, the guy who has a criminal history, who obviously was on some sort of drug and was threatening the people on that train, did he say he was a Michael Jackson intimidator or impersonator? Did you hear what I heard, Justin?
I thought I heard intimidator.
Yeah, let's go back to, it's about 20 seconds into it. If you can go back to the beginning of that and about 20 seconds in, roll it. Let's see what he says.
It was a young, innocent child who was brutally murdered, and it gave that impression. When you looked at the photo that was being used, it wanted to set up in the minds of people that we were dealing with a young, innocent child that, just a Michael Jackson intimidator.
Hello.
He said intimidator.
Yeah, he said intimidator. Now, look, we all make mistakes with the language, but I think Mayor Adams was just getting over his skis. He was trying to make a statement. He's also reportedly trying to say that he might become a Republican. Do we get to pick and choose? Is that one thing we get to say? Can we put you on an internship program, Mayor Adams? It feels like he's just wanting to become a Republican in order to get some kind of pardon from Donald Trump when Donald Trump is sworn in 45 days from right now. I'm speculating, of course. But Mayor Adams, he's out there telling everybody, yeah, this Republican Party thing, cut two. Play that, please.
Would you ever consider rejoining the GOP?
The party that's the most important for me is the American Party. I'm a part of the American Party. I love this country. This is the home of the free, the land of the brave. My 19-year-old nephew died on the fields of Vietnam, protecting what this city and this country represents. And that's the party I'm going to always be a member of. And I did it as a police officer when I wore that bulletproof vest for 22 years. And I'm going to do it with this blue suit as the mayor of the city of New York.
All right. Well, we are looking forward to your meeting with the so-called border czar next Thursday. In the meantime, Mayor Adams, First Deputy Mayor Maria Torres-Springer, thank you both for being with me this morning.
Thanks for popping by. Yeah, this is a guy who is treading water and hoping to maintain his political future. It's wounded right now. They're looking at him in all kinds of ways with all kinds of investigations. Remember, they confiscated his cell phones. They went into his home. They took several of his close aides, and they're under investigation. He is throwing out lifelines everywhere he can, and especially to Donald Trump. That's definitely what's going on here. So Mayor Adams, he's got the right take on this. It's not that he's wrong about Daniel Penny. It's just that he's a little late to the dance. He's one of those guys that sees which direction the political bus is going and decides to run up and jump on it. Yeah, I see. If he gets an invitation to the inauguration before Zeoil does, I'll be very upset. Just saying, that's bad pandering. But anyway, the hope is that Tom Homan, the incoming border czar, the best border czar in the history of border czars, Tom Homan, will sit down with the mayor and they will act quickly on the 58,000 criminals in New York illegally. That's not the number of total immigrants. The number of total immigrants is well beyond that. But they know that 58,000 of them are criminals and need to be flown out. And those are flights I think we the American people would be happy to pay for. We will see. We shall see. Well, the big story of this hour is the fact that there is no verdict in the Daniel Penny case. In fact, the jury has said, hey, judge, we're deadlocked on the manslaughter case. And the judge is saying, well, okay, you're deadlocked on that one. What about the other one? Well, we're thinking about that, Your Honor. Well, maybe you guys go back and you keep deliberating. So that is the big story of this hour, top story of the day of the hour, sponsored by Dr. Mike Veneria at Veneria Dental. Don't let any unused dental benefits expire at the end of the year. We only have a couple more weeks left. Schedule your appointment with Dr. Veneria, Dr. Mike, today. Call 856-786-2020 or visit veneriadental.com. That's VANARIA dental.com. Get that taken care of. What do we have coming up today? Oh, we got a busy day. There were economic numbers dropped today. The jobs numbers came out. Last month was a terrible number. You all remember it. The Democrats tried to say, well, that was because we had the hurricanes and all that stuff. There was some change in that trend, and we will get our friend Dr. E.J. Antoni to join us next. A couple of breaks up. He'll break it down for us, give us the real story. We also have our buddy, Dr. Michael Roizen, is going to join us later. He's got some updates on what you can do to make yourself living healthy, younger, and longer. And I know the story out of the Supreme Court yesterday and the hearing regarding the Tennessee law as it relates to transgender kids and what Tennessee is trying to protect and in the children and trying to prevent the mutilation and chemical destruction of young children. That law was debated yesterday. My friend Gerald Posner, who's an attorney, has written great books. He's an investigative journalist as well. But he is an attorney and understands the court. He's going to break down what happened and give us more perspective on that. And I think Lauren Fix, the car coach, is going to join us. Lauren has some unique perspective on what's going on with the auto industry. And I have a question I want to ask her. Donald Trump is saying that, you know, if Canada and Mexico don't play ball when it comes to our border, if they don't protect us, if they don't stop the illegals coming into the country as well as the fentanyl, then they'll be slapped with massive tariffs. Well, that's going to be a problem, and what we're going to need to do is make sure that the border tightens up. But if it doesn't, what's that going to do to the automotive industry? How much of our auto industry relies on Mexico and or Canada? And what's the most American-made car? That's one of the questions I have for Lauren. So we'll get into that. And not too long ago, Cringe Jean-Pierre gave a press conference. It was the first one since the pardon of Hunter Biden. What was said? Oh, I've got the highlights just coming up around the corner. It's Opelka in for Zeoil on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
Nothing delivers comfort and joy quite like the unrivaled quality and taste of Omaha Steaks. It's guaranteed perfection in every single bite. And right now, you can save on unforgettable gifts with 50% off site-wide at omahasteaks.com. Plus, score an extra $30 off with promo code NICK. With 5 generations of experience, they consistently deliver the world's best steak experience. And the gifting experts at Omaha Steaks have made it easy to deliver that perfect gift with thoughtfully curated gift packages featuring gourmet favorites. From legendary steaks to mouth-watering desserts and more, save 50% off site-wide for a limited time at omahasteaks.com. Plus, our listeners get an extra $30 off with promo code NICK. That's 50% off at omahasteaks.com. That's omahasteaks.com. And an extra $30 off with promo code NICK. Minimum purchase may apply.
Window Nation presents the 1210 WPHT Veteran Spotlight in partnership with the Travis Manion Foundation. Listen the first Wednesday of every month as Kale and Company shines a spotlight on a local veteran, highlighting their remarkable commitment to the community and their exceptional service in the military. Presented by Window Nation. At Window Nation, there's nothing more important than giving back to the communities we serve. For all of your window and door needs, visit windownation.com. That's windownation.com.
Hey, radio listeners, don't miss the Legacy Box Cyber Week sale going on now.
You've heard about Legacy Box all year long, and with our Cyber Week sale, now is the time to take advantage of our best sale of the year. Legacy Box is the most meaningful gift you can give this holiday season. It's simple, safe, and has been trusted by millions.
That's right, it's our best sale of the year. Right now, when you go to LegacyBox.com, you can save an unreal 65% on your Legacy Box.
And for a limited time, you can preserve your tapes, film reels, and photos for as low as $27, saving you hundreds.
Hurry, our best sale of the year won't last long. Visit LegacyBox.com for an unreal 65% off during our Cyber Week sale. With limited quantities ready to ship, this deal will go fast.
Shop our Cyber Week sale now at LegacyBox.com/value to take 65% off. Buy your Legacy Box today and send in when you're ready. LegacyBox.com/value.
It's officially the merry season, and B101, Philly's official Christmas station, is your home for holiday music. Spinning the biggest and best festive tracks all day long, now through Christmas Day. Jingle bell, jingle bell, jingle bell rock. Get your holiday fix on the radio at 101.1 FM. Ask your smart speaker to play B101 Philly, or listen on the go with the free Odyssey app.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-700-6898. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-700-6898. 800-700-6898 or biglou.com.
Power up the holiday and get a gift from the top of their wish list. Visit your local Steel dealer today or shop online at steelusa.com.
It's the Rich Zeoil Show. Live from the Cherry Hill Volvo Studios, where relationships matter. Talk Radio 1210, WPHT.
There's a starman waiting in the sky. He'd like to come and meet us, but he thinks he'd blow our minds. There's a starman.
It is 3:25 on a Friday afternoon. The Zeoil Show with Opelka in for Zeoil. He's out today having his implants adjusted, something like that. I'm not exactly sure what. And you guys played Starman yesterday, and Rich loved it. And I was listening yesterday, and I went, wow, yeah, I love the Bowie song. Great choice, great call. So much to get to today. All of the networks, all of the news networks are waiting and pacing because they expected the verdict in the Daniel Penny trial today. And they got the report that the jury's deadlocked, and that's come out since about 11 o'clock today. So I think they don't have a lot planned. I, on the other hand, do. Because you never get what you want. You just get what you need. I was watching just before the show came on the air, and Corinne Jean-Pierre, Cringe, as she's known, the press secretary, held the first press briefing she's had since Joe Biden pardoned his son. It's the first time she's really had the full press room. And Kelly O'Donnell asked some questions. Kelly O'Donnell, who's head of the White House Press Correspondents Union or whatever the hell they are. And she's stepping down from that after this year. But she went toe-to-toe with KJP, a little bit of a back and forth on the pardon.
The president and you portrayed the no pardon is part of where the question comes from. Because all the facts that you have outlined were well known in advance.
And I would add, there has been some circumstances that have changed this, right? Republicans not letting up, saying they won't stop. They're going to continue to do this. I mentioned the recent Trump appointees of legal enforcement positions, right? That said during the campaign they would have, they were out for retribution, and so no reason to not take them for the word. I pointed at. There was a sentencing coming up, as you all know.
That was well known.
I said there are multiple factors here. Not one thing led to this. Multiple factors, and I think if you look at all of these, it's a combination of reasons why the president wrestled with this over the weekend and made this decision.
Now that you've had time and the president has had time to absorb how the public has responded to this, to think on it further, does he have any concerns about the fact that he had been so declarative and then granted this pardon?
Let me translate what Kelly O'Donnell's saying. Now that a couple days have passed and everybody's saying Joe Biden lied, does Joe Biden have any regrets on this? That he lied to everybody? Does he?
It's clearly done, and many Americans understand as a father how he would do that. But does he have concern about his credibility or the impact it might have on future pardons?
So, and I will also say, just to bring up Clyburn again, because I think it's important, right? Because you were asking me what we said over the summer. Clyburn spoke to the president 2 weeks ago, and the president, he said, this is Clyburn's words, the president was reticent when he tried to encourage him to pardon Hunter Biden, and I think that is his son, obviously, and I think that's important to note. Look, I would refer you back to the last couple of sentences in the president's statement, and I think it's important here where he talked about wrestling this and wanting to understand.
I'll give you a little clue to KJP. She's not quite ready for this one. She wasn't ready for this job to begin with. But she's not ready for this. She keeps doing the, she doesn't have the pre-written page in the binder. And she's looking for something that's going to tamp this down. And it's not going to get tamped down.
The American people are fair-minded and talked about the importance of doing this and thinking about this over the weekend and coming to this decision and how he wrestled with it. And that was, I think, a message directly to the American people.
Take a sip every time she says wrestled with it. You're going to take a sip on that one.
Obviously, the whole comprehensive statement was something that he wanted to share with the American people. But I think the way he ended his statement actually acknowledges and wanted to be very clear to the American people his own personal thinking about this and understanding that they would look at this, and he believed they would be fair-minded about it.
Yeah, okay. But does he regret misleading the people? That's the big question.
Does he regret that he had misled the public about what would eventually happen?
Look, what I will say is he laid out his thought process. He talked about the underlying facts of the case. He thought it was very important. That was part of the first paragraph of his statement, wanting to explain and talking about the gun charges, right? Talking about the tax cases and wanting to make sure that they understood, like, these types of things would not be a normal reason to prosecute, right?
Wait a minute. Tax cases aren't normally prosecuted? So my buddy John, who didn't pay taxes on a $100,000 football pool he won and ended up going to a federal prison for 5 months, that's, Hunter certainly skipped over a lot more tax payments than that. And you're telling me that these aren't cases that are usually prosecuted? My buddy John would beg to differ. And he paid his fines, and he paid the back taxes too, and he still had to go to a federal charm school for 5 months, disrupting his life. But you keep telling me that this is an unusual thing, madam. Keep going.
No one would be criminally prosecuted with felony offenses
Sure.
With these facts. Whether it's absent aggravated factors, similar charges are rarely brought. When you think about gun charges, the tax cases, such as Hunter's, when taxes are repaid with penalties, are rarely criminally charged. They are handled civilly, and these are the things that the legal experts also agreed with him on. And so he wanted to lay that out for the American people as well. And I, don't have anything else beyond what the president laid out, his thinking in his written statement, in his words. I just don't have anything beyond that.
That's the sign that KJP doesn't want any more questions on it. I don't have anything else on that. I got nothing about it. Yeah, there are more questions on it. More questions. And there were questions also about Donald Trump heading to the cathedral at Notre Dame this weekend. Tomorrow, in fact. Question about that.
Quickly, President Trump is going to be in France this weekend for the reopening of the Notre Dame, also meeting with President Macron. How does this White House view President Trump's meetings with foreign leaders happening while you're still here?
I mean, look, it's not unusual. As you've heard us say before, you've heard the National Security Council say as well. I think Jake Sullivan, when he was asked this question, the President's National Security Advisor, made that same comment. It's not unusual for when there's a president-elect for heads of states, foreign leaders who want to have that conversation with the president-elect. So I'll just leave that there. Okay.
Again, just leaving it there. But why isn't Joe going?
Karim, just follow up with Hannah's question. Why isn't the President of the United States going to go to the reopening of the Notre Dame de Paris? Why not?
So just as you know, the First Lady is attending, and she's attending as part of her larger travel swing to Italy, UAE, and Qatar. So she will be representing the administration. They were both invited to be there for the reopening of the Notre Dame. The president had a scheduling conflict, which is why he was not able to attend. Any specifics on the First Lady's trip and what that's going to look like, I certainly would refer you to the First Lady's office.
So what scheduling conflict? Does anyone have any kind of curiosity? What's the scheduling conflict that would deny the second Catholic president in the history of the United States from going to the reopening of the Cathedral at Notre Dame? I maintain he's afraid if he walks in that cathedral, he'll be hit by lightning because of his stance on abortion. And why is Jill Biden going to Italy and then the UAE and Dubai? Is she on some kind of duty-free shopping trip? What does she have to do? Why do we have to pay for that? You know what it is. She's getting in the last few trips on the taxpayer dollars. There's more from the press conference today, but I got to take a break. There were big economic numbers that were released today, and we reached out to our buddy, Dr. E.J. Antoni, the official economist of the Zeoil Show. He'll break it down for us just around the corner. It's Opelka in for Zeoil on a Friday. Friday Luya to you on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. An important message about your timeshare from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. Contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance, and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about timeshare cancellation.
Call 800-408-4040. That's 800-408-4040.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the woots. And now a speech.
I just want to say that friendship is about heart and brain. Who's with me?
Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
And my brain is saying, when it's time to go home, somebody call me a ride.
Love that guy.
Me too.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Hey, it's Rich Zeoil. I can't recommend enough my friend and dentist, Dr. Mike Veneria at Veneria Dental. But I also want to share a little secret with you. You know, we're in the final stretch of 2024. As you know, you could possibly have dental insurance benefits expiring soon. Come January, most benefits reset. So if you've been putting off getting that dental procedure done, now is the time to schedule your appointment and use any remaining benefits for 2024. Dr. Mike's office will help you work through all of it, so just give them a call. Dr. Mike Veneria is the master of implant dentistry. His level of care and commitment to dental excellence is unmatched. And if you're nervous to go to the dentist, don't be. Dr. Mike and his staff makes your dental experience simple. He's been named a top dentist in New Jersey for 10 consecutive years. He's respected among his peers as being a master of dental implants. And yes, he's my family dentist. So stop putting off seeing a dentist or getting that complex dental procedure done, and don't waste those benefits. Taking care of your teeth is so important to your overall health. So call his office at 856-786-2020 or veneriadental.com. That's VANARIA, veneriadental.com.
Prescription products require completion of an online medication consultation with an independent healthcare provider through the LifeMD platform and are only available if prescribed. Subscription required. Individual results may vary. Additional restrictions apply at lifemd.com. Read all warnings before using GLP-1s. Side effects may include a risk of thyroid C-cell tumors. Do not use GLP-1s if you or your family have a history of thyroid cancer.
Should GLP-1 weight loss medication like Wegovy and Zepbound cost hundreds of dollars? We don't think so. TryLifeMD.com helps provide insurance access to the leading GLP-1 medications. Visit TryLifeMD.com to get your free insurance benefits check and see your eligibility in minutes. Listen to Tara's story after losing 42 pounds.
You just take your shot. It doesn't feel like you're on a diet. What I wasn't expecting it to do was to shut off the food noise. I'd gone from 237 to 195. This was life-altering, and if I can do it, I feel like anybody can do it.
Get started right now with your free insurance benefits check and see your eligibility for coverage in minutes at TryLifeMD.com. That's TryLifeMD.com.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hi, I'm Dr. Peter Stahl, board-certified urologist and senior vice president of men's sexual health at HIMSS. In my 12 years of practice as a reproductive urologist, I've helped many guys with ED, and it has never been more convenient to treat than it is right now, thanks to HIMSS. It really wasn't easy before. You had to take time out of your day, come to a physical office, and see a specialist like me in person. Now, through HIMSS.com, you can get world-class sexual health care and a full range of treatment options for ED through a 100% online process. It starts with a free assessment from a medical provider licensed in your state who can determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. So don't wait. Join the hundreds of thousands of guys who've gotten help for their ED through HIMSS.
To start your free online visit and find ED treatment at up to 95% off brand name prices, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit.
Hey, this is Jimmy Fallon in the house, and dig this, folks. This is not a drill. It's the real thing. You can now join me weeknights from 7 to 10 p.m. on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT or anywhere on the free Odyssey app.
Yeah. Trump the Don. There's a new dance move going on.
I'm a hip.
Check it out.
Yeah.
Everybody move your arms like this. There's a dance other people doing. I think it's a hit. Don't be shy. Go and get up on the dance floor. Have the time of your life. I'm the man. Do the trap. Do the trap. In the school, in the pool, or in the club. We don't got no time for haters. They just their way. We're about to turn the country to a red state. Do the trap. 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 Do the Trump.
Yeah, do the Trump. Do the Trump. That's that is Do the Trump, the official Trump dance song. It's Michael Opelka for Rich Zeoil on this Friday Hallelujah to you, the 6th of December. We are creeping up on Christmas, as they say. So much more to get to today. We'll get more of Do the Trump. It's actually a full-length song, and I'll post a link to it on social media so you can follow along. Today there were some numbers released before the markets opened, the jobs numbers for the last month and the unemployment numbers. And because I am just a radio host and not the official economist of the Zeoil Show, I rely on bigger brains. I rely on people like Dr. E.J. Antoni to join us and explain it to us. Dr. Antoni, welcome back, my friend. It's good to have you here.
Hey, Mike, my pleasure. Thank you for having me again.
Well, I started watching the numbers roll, and, instinctively, I'm looking at them and going, all right, what does EJ think of this? So there were decent numbers, what appeared to be decent numbers in terms of jobs created. But before we get to that, were there any adjustments to the previous month's numbers that we need to pay attention to?
There were a couple of small adjustments to the two previous months. That's normal. We saw two increases, which actually, these days that's abnormal. Usually we see things revised down, but we did see upward revisions. That was good. They weren't very big, which, we wish they were larger, but it is what it is. It's important to remember a chunk of what we saw in the November payroll growth of 227,000. A chunk of that was really just jobs that were lost in October coming back. October was a little bit of an anomaly in that you had some disruptions from strikes and also from weather events, and so that dings the payroll numbers. It doesn't ding the employment numbers, which is different, but it does reduce the total number of jobs. So, some of what we saw in November was really just jobs coming back from the losses in October. So all that to say, though, a report showing 227,000 jobs being added looks good on the surface, but then you dig into it and you find out the employment number, the number of people who actually say, yes, I'm employed, that plunged. It was down 355,000 in the month of November. That's terrible.
Now, EJ, when we look at this, I should say Dr. Antoni. Dr. Antoni, when we look at the numbers, they're always telling us the payroll numbers, the new numbers in. How come we don't monitor jobs lost each month? The number of, like you said, 300,000, 350+ thousand jobs that went away. How come that isn't a stat? It seems like that would be important.
Well, we have basically two different surveys. So we have a survey of businesses, and that's where we get the total number of jobs that you hear as the headline every report. But then we have a survey of households, and that's where we ask people in a household, are you employed or not? Are you looking for work or not? Are you even in the labor force at all or not, et cetera? And we get other demographical questions in there as well. And that's where we get things like the unemployment rate. You can't get that simply by asking businesses, because businesses don't know, for example, how many people are out there unemployed, looking for work, not looking for work, et cetera. So there are two different surveys. Each have their own measure of employment. Again, one is the number of jobs. The other is the number of people who say, yes, I'm employed. And we've seen this bizarre divergence, which really started going all the way back in March of 2022, but it continues to this day. And so, like, for example, Mike, while the number of jobs in the economy has steadily increased month after month, the number of people who say they're employed today is 725,000 below where it was a year ago. So almost 750,000 fewer people are employed right now.
And how is that? That seems like that would be impossible. How is that even possible? If the number of jobs are increasing and people are getting hired, how can there be fewer people employed?
Well, I think there's two explanations for this, and one of which is that some of our labor market statistics seem to have basically broken in the spring of 2022, where the numbers that we got just all of a sudden weren't matching up with private sector data. And so you have to call into question, are these government measures, are these different metrics actually reliable? You know, these are designed, these different instruments are designed for normal times, and the post-pandemic economy, we're learning, is no longer normal times. Gig work, for example, has exploded. Well, if you're looking at the number of payrolls, that double counts people who have multiple jobs. So, I'll take myself as an example. I have two fellowships at two different think tanks, Heritage as well as Unleash Prosperity, but then I also have a consulting business. So I technically have three jobs. I get counted as three payrolls in that instance. But in the household survey, I'm only counted as one person employed. And so as we have continued to see more and more people have to take multiple jobs in order to try to make ends meet, the result of that has been the number of payrolls going up and up and up, so jobs keep going up, but that hasn't actually increased the number of people employed.
That is interesting. And it is the gig economy and the reality of the gig economy that may be taking some of the truth out of these numbers. I'm a guy who doesn't have a radio station I call my home on a full-time basis. I'm like you. I work for different radio stations around the country. So you say that in terms of household numbers, I'm one employed person, but in terms of payrolls, I might be five if I do 5 different radio stations in a month.
Right, exactly. And what's interesting, Mike, is an increasing number of people are finding themselves in that position, not only because they have a full-time gig and then they're taking on multiple part-time jobs. Like I said, they're trying to make ends meet as prices everywhere are going through the roof. But you're also seeing a lot of people who have gotten laid off. Right, every week in the news, we're hearing about another company announcing layoffs. Well, as those people lose their full-time jobs, they tend to replace them not with another full-time job, but with multiple part-time ones. So they're getting 2 or even 3, sometimes more part-time jobs in order to try to make the same amount of money. So that's why, for example, when we look at just the last month, we saw full-time jobs drop 111,000 in November. I mean, that's terrible. And in fact, over the last year, they're down 1.3 million. So all of the jobs we are adding on net are part-time right now, and actually have been for quite a while.
Yeah, so there's kind of a fake jobs number that's being foisted upon us every month. How do we figure out a real jobs number, EJ? Is there a way, in your estimation, for us to figure out how to put the gig worker calculus into play? And how do people like you try and gauge the strength of the employment market based on numbers that were created when there were really different realities in terms of reporting full-time versus part-time versus gig work?
But it's a great question, Mike. It involves a whole heck of a lot of work because what you basically have to do is you have to delve into these reports and the methodology in terms of how these numbers are calculated and see, all right, are these methodologies actually valid today? And then you have to compare that with different methodologies that are used by purchasing manager indexes or the regional Federal Reserve banks, the surveys that they use. We can look at different private payroll companies like Paychex is one, Paychex. ADP is another one. They're a huge paycheck processor. And we can look at all those different data sets and then compare them and see, all right, where do we have outliers? And pretty consistently, the outlier has been some of the official government data, again, like the total number of jobs. And so we find that the household survey that's tracking the number of people employed has mirrored much more closely the private sector data as well as polling data. That's another really interesting thing, Mike, is how is it we continuously poll people on the labor market and ask them, different questions, especially about their personal finances, and the responses are terrible. And it's not simply political questions like how are your family finances under Biden, or have you been able to get a raise or find a new job under Biden? Leave politics out of it. Even if you're just asking about current conditions with no political perspective on there at all, the responses have still been pretty lousy, much more lousy than you would think, given the runaway job, the blockbuster jobs numbers. And sure enough, they mirror much more closely the stagnation that we see in the employment figures, which again, I mean, they're basically flat going all the way back to February of 2023, so almost 2 full years ago.
And that would give you an indication as to why this election went the direction it went. The general sense among the people that are working and trying to get by is that they have to do more, and they're doing more and trying to get by with less in their pockets, and that tends to lead to change in who the elected officials are. But how does that bode for the future? If this trend continues, isn't it going to be tough for Donald Trump to come in 45 days and restart this economy? Or do you feel like there are things that the Trump policies will do that could jumpstart it? Because, we keep hearing the Democrats down-talking what Donald Trump's plans are for the economy.
One of the things that they could do very quickly through executive action would be to simply undo what the Biden administration did via executive action. A lot of that has to do with regulations around people who classify themselves as self-employed. So again, going back to myself with the consulting business that I have, essentially these different regulations that the Biden administration has put in place make it much more difficult for that to happen, for the average Joe to be able to be self-employed or to participate in different programs like Uber or whatever the case may be. And as a consequence of that, you are reducing the number of people who can participate in that. You're reducing the number of people employed in those ways. And that's been very detrimental to the overall labor market. And that has actually caused people, in conjunction with the expansion of welfare, to leave the labor market entirely and instead get on the government dole. We still have several million young men in this country who aren't working. And I'm not talking about, just that number, there's several million, period. I mean several million above the existing trend. So we had a trend line from before COVID, for example. There's a huge spike during COVID because all these people leave the labor force. But then as the economy reopened, a large chunk of those people never returned. Some of that has to do with the fact that they've basically been replaced by foreign workers. But whatever the case, you still have about 4 or 5 million young men above the existing trend who are missing from the labor market right now. We have to get those guys back to work.
And are those 4.5 million young men, are they white-collar jobs? Are they blue-collar jobs? Are they, trades? Where do you see that potential?
Well, we have to extrapolate based on the trends of each of those categories you just mentioned, but it looks like it's a pretty good mix. Now, manufacturing does seem to have been particularly hard hit, so I would say a disproportionate percentage are from that sector, which would include a disproportionate amount of blue-collar jobs. But even still, you can look at other things like retail and wholesale trade and you find the exact same pattern. You can look at business administrative works, more of the white-collar jobs, and again, you see the same trend. It might be a little more or a little less, but it's still there.
We're talking to E.J. Antoni, of course, the official economist of the Zeoil show, and one of the brains at Heritage we respect greatly when it comes to understanding our economy. E.J., you and I have talked in the past at length about the large number of jobs in the American economy that are part of the U.S. government. These are part of people that work for our government and not necessarily work creating things or selling things. And with Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy and their army of volunteers hoping to get government to be more efficient, is their mission going to put any of the economy at risk by reducing the number of jobs substantially, especially government jobs?
No, because you're essentially cutting loose an anchor that's weighing down the economy. There was a report that was recently released that showed every government regulator, although they may only make $100,000 a year, let's say, they actually cost the economy tens of millions of dollars per year because the work that they do is so harmful to that broader economy. And so what the interesting conclusion from this report was, you could fire all these people but keep paying them. In other words, give them effectively a lifetime pension of 100% of their current pay. And it would actually be a net benefit to the economy because, sure, you're still out that money, that $100,000 or whatever it is a year plus benefits, but you're no longer costing the economy tens of millions of dollars a year in harm that these regulators are doing. So It would be an absolute boon to the economy if we could cut down the number of government workers. I mean, right now, it's 23.5 million Americans, 23.5 million government jobs we have right now. That is absolutely appalling. They're all making trouble.
That is amazing. 23.5 million government workers. And if many of them were cut loose, especially in the area of those who are regulators, they would unleash new prosperity in the economy, which would also create more jobs, would it not?
Oh, absolutely. That's exactly right, Mike. It's absolutely amazing how, we really underestimate how regulation is strangling American production and the American economy. People don't realize that for a typical manufacturing job, for example, it's not uncommon for the manufacturer to be facing between $50,000 and $100,000 in regulatory costs per employee.
Wow.
And so what looks like a job that pays, let's say, $60,000 is easily well over $100,000 in terms of cost, and that's before you even add in the benefit package, which might be another $30,000 to $50,000 on top of that. So you ask yourself, why is it we can't afford to make anything here in America anymore? It's not so much that places like China are using slave labor, which is true, they are. But it's not so much that they're manipulating their currency, which is true, they're doing that too. The regulatory state in this country is absolutely hamstringing our manufacturing sector.
Well, we get the indication that in 45 days there will be some executive orders that'll start changing that reality and eliminating some of those regulatory agencies. And then in conjunction with or alongside of Doge and the recommendations made by Elon and Vivek's group, that maybe we will make this machine a little more efficient. I think Twitter X is a good example. Musk fired about 80% of the people, and I'm a daily consumer. It seems to be working just fine for me. And I think he understands how to thin the operation and still keep it working.
Yeah, in fact, not only is it working fine, it's working better because all the people they let go, it turns out most of them were just involved in censorship. So now people actually get to say what they think, and other people get to hear that and interact with it.
It's great stuff. Excellent stuff, E.J. Antoni. I suggest to all of you follow E.J., his work on Twitter, especially immediately after the numbers come out. EJ's got 10 graphs, and they're up and they're breaking it down. So that's where I always go. And if you follow him on Twitter X, Real EJ Antoni, it's simple to find, at Real EJ Antoni. My friend, thank you for being there always. It helps me understand it. It makes me mad at what's been done the last 4 years, but I feel like hope is on the horizon.
I think it is, Mike. I am very hopeful, cautiously optimistic.
Very good. Thank you, EJ. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
And there he goes. Justin, I have no idea where we are in the clock. Am I supposed to be taking a break here? Okay. It's the Zeoil show, but he's not here. He's in the medical tent. He's in the blue tent on the sidelines. It's Opelka versus Zeoil on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Wall Street is guessing that the Fed will continue lowering interest rates following today's jobs report. U.S. hiring picked up in November, and the unemployment rate edged mildly higher, pointing to a moderating labor market rather than one that's significantly deteriorating. Stocks are mixed, with the Dow down 0.2, but the S&P is up 0.1, the Nasdaq is up 0.6%. The incoming Trump administration is reportedly thinking about canceling contracts to electrify mail trucks at the U.S. Postal Service. Reuters says the policy could be unveiled shortly after the inauguration, but Postmaster General Louis DeJoy, who was appointed by Donald Trump, tells Bloomberg he hasn't heard a thing. Fears that Donald Trump's pledge to add tariffs to all imported goods is causing Americans to stockpile basics like toilet paper and non-perishable items. That's according to a new study from creditcards.com that says 1 in 3 are stocking up on items for fear of higher prices. I'm Nancy Lyons, Bloomberg Radio.
Attention Medicaid patients.
If you're on Medicaid, how would you like if your caretaker was your daughter, your son, your grandchild, or your close friend? If you're on Medicaid, Freedom Care allows you to choose who provides your care, and that caregiver will get paid instantly after their shift. Yes, your caregiver will get paid instantly, and it's 100% free to you if you are on Medicaid. Call 267-692-3782 and ask Freedom Care how to get started with care today. No more worrying about getting care from an aide at an agency. Freedom Care helps you choose who you want to take care of you, and that person gets paid. Call Freedom Care at 267-692-3782, 267-692-3782 to get started today. You get a caregiver you know and trust, and they get paid instantly after their shift, and it's free to you. Start now by calling 267-692-3782, 267-692-3782, or go to freedomcare.com.
Freedom Care, we're here for you.
Attention! Have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers, so don't wait. If you owe $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-885-9595. 800-885-9595. Again, that's 800-885-9595.
Looking for that unique gift or hard-to-find collectible? Look no further than Nicholas Smith Trains and Toys. Nicholas Smith has over 60,000 items for you to shop at both nicholassmithtrains.com and nicholassmithtoys.com. But come into the store on Westchester Pike Broomall and get lost in old and new technology. Pretend play, RC and slot cars, Western play, Madame Alexander dolls, mechanical robots, superhero action figures, Playmobil, Lego, Disney, and much, much more. Right off the Blue Route, visit Nicholas Smith Trains and Toys this holiday or any day.
Listen, here's the secret to your holiday savings. Ready? You can get gifts starting at just $3.99. Toys from Disney, Mattel, Barbie, Sonic, Looney Tunes, Fisher-Price, Play-Doh, Nerf, Hot Wheels, and more. You can put a bow on these brands and won't break the bank. Adidas, Champion, Puma, Reebok, Converse, True Religion, DKNY, and Levi's are all at prices so low, they're basically a gift. The savings are hiding at You can put a bow on these brands and won't break the bank.
WPHT, HD, WOGL, HD3, Philadelphia. From the Cherry Hill Volvo Studios, where relationships matter. Always live on the free Odyssey app. The revolution will be broadcast. This is the next generation of talk. Now, on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT, Rich Zeoil.
It is the Zeoil Show on this Friday, but Rich is out. As I said, he's in the medical tent on the sidelines. Nothing too serious. He will return on Monday. It's Opelka, Mike Opelka, sitting in for my buddy Rich Zeoil. If you want to see the stories that were catching my attention early this morning, you can always go to pureopelka.com, pureopelka.com. I post them there every morning. It's like my own little prep sheet, so you can follow along. You can play along at home. We did get news in the last couple of minutes that the judge has dismissed the manslaughter charge against Daniel Penny because the jury said, nah, we're hopelessly deadlocked on this one. And he sent them home for the weekend. So the jury is going home, and they were told to return on Monday and then deliberate again on the secondary charge, which is the one they were spending a lot of time on today anyway. This is the one that includes reckless behavior. That if you killed someone involuntarily and you were reckless, that means you knew that your conduct could theoretically be lethal. And the jury has to deal with that. But here's where I think all of this falls apart. The testimony of the people on the train. That's got to be key to dismissing the first manslaughter charge. And then the testimony of Daniel Penny, because he was just trying to subdue the guy. He wasn't trying to kill him. And then you have the testimony of Penny's team, who had the autopsy performed by their guy. And he said, this guy didn't die from the chokehold. The chokehold may have subdued him, but it didn't kill him. And you also have the EMS workers who were there, and the guy was still breathing. Now, you can always say, hey, there are complications that later kill somebody. If somebody gets shot and then dies 2 days later, it's still the fault of the bullet. I get that. But this seems to be a completely different situation. Completely different. So manslaughter charges, the big charges, out. The involuntary manslaughter charge with the claim of reckless behavior, that still may carry forward. We'll see what happens, but you're going to have to wait the weekend. The jury is not sequestered, so they're going to be bombarded with media all weekend. We will see. Somebody online commented brilliantly, because those of us who believe this never should have been brought as a case against Penny, you're not surprised by anything that happens in New York, but many of us thought, well, okay, here we go. And the jury sits down, and at least one of them had a mask on, was wearing a mask, and now, I guess monkeypox is still, are we allowed to say monkeypox? Justin, can I say monkeypox, or is that considered to be verboten language? Do I have to say mpox?
It's verboten language to leftists, but you're fine.
Okay, good. Monkeypox. I'll say it all day. Monkeypox. The monkeypox thinking, I guess somebody in New York is worried about monkeypox. Just amazing. And you think if someone's wearing a mask in a jury pool in this trial, then, oh boy, you're not going to have a chance of just getting the case thrown out as it should have been. So there's probably a tiny minority that's holding out to get a lesser charge now against Penny. Yeah, we'll see what happens. The other story that seems to be growing hair in New York is the story of the murder of the insurance executive from a couple days ago. Now, I was telling Justin and Sean that for 23 years, I lived on 54th Street in Midtown Manhattan. My wife and I lived on the corner of 54th and 2nd. This happened 54th and 6th. Yeah, it's across town. It's about a half mile away, but it's right across. I know that street like the back of my hand. And it's just stunning to me that this happened. Most of the news outlets are saying they believe this guy has left the city. Well, yeah, he probably left the city 24, 48 hours ago. This guy was not going to stick around. Yes, he made mistakes. Yes, he flirted with the girl at the hostel and took his mask down when he was checking in, and that's how they got the picture of him. But it's doubtful he's anywhere nearby. And they claim they have partial DNA, et cetera, from a water bottle, but I don't think they have much. They do have essentially what they believe is the idea of what the weapon was, but they don't have the weapon. They may have a cell phone. We haven't been told whether they've broken it. But it seems like they're close, but not that close. It's really kind of disturbing. But in this case, there was some new information that popped, and the story is in the Wall Street Journal as well as People magazine. Now, if it only appeared in People magazine, I would be worried. If this only showed up in People magazine, I'd be like, are you sure about this? And it is the story that the victim's wife and he were not living together for a couple of years. It turns out that they may have been separated for a few years. Now, as somebody who consumes a lot of crime TV, I watch a lot of crime. My wife and I watch crime TV all the time. It just seems really bizarro to me that this would come out a couple days later. And it also now elevates, and tell me if I'm wrong on this. If you disagree, 855-839-1210 is the number. You can always share your thoughts on any of this. The United Healthcare CEO and his wife were separated at the time of the shooting. And again, Wall Street Journal and People magazine. Brian Thompson and his wife Paulette living in separate homes in Maple Grove, Minnesota, and had been doing so for years. In 2018, Thompson bought a second house for $1 million, close to where his wife and sons were living. To me, that sounds like a marriage that's on the rocks, and Daddy wanted to stay close to his two sons, which I understand. Not unusual that a marriage will break up and one spouse will have to move out and find a place nearby to stay involved in the kids' lives. And I actually applaud that if that's what was happening. But does this now, in your opinion, elevate Paulette Thompson to a person of interest? That's the correct term, Justin, right? Person of interest. That's what all the cop shows say that, right?
Yep.
So in your opinion, Justin, and you're a wise man, now are you suddenly investigating Paulette Thompson?
It's, after everything that we've learned, it's definitely something to keep in mind because it's a little fishy.
Well, here's the deal. There is a video and a report that the killer was not on the scene until about 4 minutes before his victim showed up. A lot of people say he was in the area. We have video of him walking around the subway, getting off on 57th Street, coming down 3 blocks to 54th Street, and going into Starbucks and getting a water bottle and maybe something to eat, and he threw that in the trash. But there is a report that he was on the phone 4 minutes, just 4 minutes before his victim, Brian Thompson, walked by. Was he getting a phone call from inside the hotel where Thompson was staying? Or was he getting a phone call? And maybe it's because I'm married to a soap opera writer, somebody who writes these stories for a living. Maybe he was getting a phone call from Paulette after Paulette hung up the phone with Brian saying, do you want to say hello to your sons before you go to your meeting? And then she says, all right, he's going across the street to his hotel, to his convention. That to me sounds like an episode of Law and Order that could have happened. Just saying. We will see. This story is unfolding, but I know it's certainly raising a lot of eyebrows. And I will bet you, any of you, that this ends up being an episode of Law and Order before the May season ends on television. That somehow they come up with a Law and Order, depending on how the case is resolved, because that's what they do. They tear stories from the headlines. It's really interesting to watch this story. The other despicable side of this is how people have risen up and said that, oh, this guy deserved it. All these insurance company CEOs deserve it. Listen, the insurance company business is not perfect, but how do you justify murder? And I know Taylor Lorenz, the woman who used to work at the Washington Post, particularly disturbed individual who calls herself a journalist, She's the one who kind of led the charge on this. And she's all over the place telling people that these insurance company executives, they don't need to stay alive. Not good, Taylor Lorenz. Not a good person. Not a good person at all. This story, going to be around for a while. The story of the wife really sticking in my head. Really sticking in my head. Just going to watch and see where this goes. I stopped in the middle of the breakdown of the Corinne Jean-Pierre story because we had finally had the first press meeting in the press room in the White House with KJP taking questions from the press about the pardon of Hunter Biden and maybe the preemptive pardons of Hunter Biden and some of the other members of the inner circle of the Biden family. James Biden, perhaps. Will there be any other Biden family members who are granted pardons? Will Liz Cheney get a pardon? There is news today, and it's almost laughable today, to see that Al Sharpton is asking for a pardon for a family member. I'll get into that in a minute. I see the phones are lighting up. Craig is in Maryland. Craig, welcome to... Oh, he dropped. We lost him? Okay. He couldn't wait 2 minutes? Patience, Craig. Patience. But the Sharpton story, it's kind of interesting to me that Al Sharpton is now reportedly asking the White House for a pardon for a family member. Ooh, boy. Ooh, boy. Yesterday, Rich Zeoil on this here radio show talked about the drones over New Jersey. I remember, was it yesterday or the day before, Justin? You may remember. I think it was yesterday, right? Talking about the large drones seen in the skies.
Yeah, we've been talking about it like for the last few days, so.
And Rich said, especially he was talking about in northern New Jersey, like close to Patterson, where 80 runs through the state. He said he wouldn't be surprised if somebody in Patterson took a shot at one of the drones. I believe I heard him say that, correct?
Yeah.
Well, it's not Patterson, New Jersey, but a Florida man, that's all you need to know, right? Florida man shot at a Walmart delivery drone with a pistol, and then he got arrested. He didn't hit it, apparently, but it flew over his property. 72-year-old Dennis Wynn saw a Walmart delivery drone flying over his property and took out his 9mm and fired a shot at it. You're not allowed to do that. If you have issues with the drone flying over your house, you pick up the phone and call police. The sheriff's office said they found a bullet hole in the payload, in other words, the box that the drone was carrying. He's charged with criminal mischief and damage over $1,000 and discharging a firearm in public. Not good behavior, sir. But thank you for being the example. As my attorney says, you never want to be the example. Never want to be the test case, ever. And this Florida man is. Tom's on the phone in Port Richmond. Tom, welcome to the Zeoil Show. Sir, what's up?
How you doing? I'm just calling up about the New York guy. I believe he was an insurer who was denied benefits probably for a wife for a young child that probably passed away, and it was acting out, frustrated with the American healthcare system. Doing record profits, record salaries, and they deny everything, treatments, the price of everything in the richest country in the world. I believe that we could probably, have a national health care system like Canada or something and be a lot better off. But that's what I think. I don't think it was a hitman. It was just a disgruntled insurer.
Well, I get it. I get it. What Tom in the Port Richmond was saying, that he thinks it's probably a guy who had a claim denied and somebody got angry. I don't think that ever is justification for killing somebody. A life for a life. That's not how the system works. But I appreciate you checking in, Tom. You kind of got a wonky phone connection. But thank you. Thank you for being there. Craig is also back in Maryland. and he blames he didn't drop out intentionally. It was the terrible Delaware phone connection. Hello, Craig.
There
Welcome
you go.
back.
You got that right. How are you?
Welcome, buddy. How
are
you doing? Good.
I'm doing good. Yeah, the minute I heard this story, my first thing is, where's the wife? What's the wife doing?
Well, isn't that what they teach us? Whenever we watch the crime shows, they always say you go to family first, especially when it's a murder.
Exactly. Yeah, and from what I mean, I'm a news junkie, and it sounds to me like this guy, maybe they're separated. This guy doesn't sound like he's the nicest character in the world either. So, could be anything. But I'm going to blame the wife. Why the hell not?
Well, I was surprised the day of the killing, and it happened just before 7 o'clock in the morning. It happened before 7 o'clock in the morning. And later that day, there was actually an interview with her, and she seemed kind of calm.
Yes.
And
Yeah, I don't get that.
I would have been a mess.
That was my first thought.
Yeah,
that was what triggered it for me. Was like, I looked at my wife.
And let's realize that they lived separately since 2018.
Yep.
So you got 6 years living apart. Sometimes if there is a divorce pending, somebody gets tired of the slowing down of the process, and they just want to have it over with.
Get it over with. And so and the other thing is, I don't know if this ever popped up on your radar. I was going to send you an email. The state of Delaware, it had nothing to do with anything. The state of Delaware got hit with $100 and some million penalty that they owed other states. Do you know anything about that? The settlement was just recent in the last few months.
I don't. In relation to what? Is there a category so I can at least do a search on it?
Yeah, I can tell you. Okay. Evidently, the state of Delaware, because during all the incorporation laws, they have taken properties and stuff and claimed it as their own and used it, and other states said, wait a second, that property's ours. So these other states, Pennsylvania, Texas, some other states are all involved, and there's 20 states, and the state of Delaware has to pay them back $100-some million because they've used money wrong. So
well,
I figured you're a big Delaware guy.
Yeah, I'll check it out, Craig. My first question would be, were the Bidens involved? Did they get a slice? Was there 10% for the big guy?
I don't know, and I've done a lot of work for years for DelDOT and stuff as a consultant, and there's enough weird stuff going on as it is in that whole
there
world.
Certainly is. There's a whole lot of weird stuff going on.
Yeah, so
I will look into it. I'll look into it, and
I'll shoot you an email.
I'll respond. I will respond, and anybody can email. It's Mike Opelka at AOL.com. Real simple, Mike Opelka at AOL.com. Thank you, Craig. Appreciate you being there.
All right.
Let's grab another one here. Marilyn in Philadelphia. Hello, Marilyn. Welcome.
Hi. Mike, I'm calling because I want to say I just heard the whole story about the CEO up in New York and all. But I mean, that's not the first I've heard of it. What I'm saying is when it first was announced about it, there was mention of the wife and husband filing for divorce or in the process of a divorce. That was in the very beginning, and then you didn't hear another word again. And I was thinking something like on the order of what you mentioned about, could it be the wife, not the wife so much, but like a mad boyfriend or somebody, like that.
Well, we so often see when a divorce takes a long time that one spouse or the other gets really angry and frustrated, and it's almost like they're trying to force them into negotiating for a better deal by holding out. Because once the divorce is over, somebody gets their payment, it's done. But if you can bleed them for a long time, maybe they can settle for a lower number, Marilyn. So that was the thing that hit me. But pardon me, it was just late yesterday and early today, that the Wall Street Journal and People magazine put out the story that they've been living separately in close to each other, but separately in $1 million homes since 2018. That's a long time. That's a long time, yeah. Yeah. So this is a long time coming. I think this is a factor in this, and I'd be surprised if, we have to find the shooter in order to get the connection, I'm guessing. But I'm sure they're looking at the wife right now, the widow, as everyone is appropriately saying. But thanks. I appreciate you being there.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Mike.
Thank you so much. I'm going to take a break. We have our friend Lauren Fix, the car coach, is going to be joining us. There's a lot going on in the automotive world. I don't know if you drive a Nissan. The Nissan car company might not be around that much longer. And I'd like to know why. A couple other crazy questions about the automotive world. And Elon Musk has said he is now against any of those government handouts to people who buy electric cars. His company was the beneficiary of that for many years, and now he's against it. Some interesting things on the horizon. We'll get to a lot of it just around the corner. It's Opelka in for Zeoil on the Zeoil Show on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
Hey, Dawn Stensland here. You know how important online privacy and security is these days. That's why I subscribe to Privacy Pro from DuckDuckGo. It's a 3-in-1 subscription service, and it includes DuckDuckGo's VPN, personal information removal, and identity theft restoration. That's 3 features for the price of 1. Right now, we're able to offer you a free 30-day trial at DuckDuckGo.com/1210. I discovered DuckDuckGo years ago. It's an independent browser, search engine, millions use it, and now you can get an extra layer of online protection with the DuckDuckGo VPN. It secures your Wi-Fi connection anytime, anywhere, home, work, abroad. Yes, when I travel to Italy, I'll be using it, and it's so easy to use. Connect in just 1 click in the DuckDuckGo browser, and I check my VPN status at a glance. Get a 30-day free trial at DuckDuckGo.com/1210. Then you pay $9.99 a month. Do this. DuckDuckGo.com/1210. Tell them Dawn sent you.
Are you worried about the state of the economy? Concerned about market crashes and rising inflation wiping out your savings? At Noble Gold Investments, we understand your fears and have a solution. Call us today at 1-888-403-1050. Imagine safeguarding you and your family with a tangible asset that has stood the test of time. Gold. With Noble Gold Investments, you can diversify your portfolio and protect your wealth from economic turmoil. Our team will guide you through the process, ensuring you make informed decisions that best suit your needs. Call Noble Gold Investments today at 1-888-403-1050. That's 1-888-403-1050. The future is uncertain. Take control now. Call 1-888-403-1050.
Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals, including gold, involves risks. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hi, I'm Dr. Peter Stahl, board-certified urologist and senior vice president of men's sexual health at HIMSS. In my 12 years of practice as a reproductive urologist, I've helped many guys with ED, and it has never been more convenient to treat than it is right now, thanks to HIMSS. It really wasn't easy before. You had to take time out of your day, come to a physical office, and see a specialist like me in person. Now, through HIMSS.com, you can get world-class sexual health care and a full range of treatment options for ED through a 100% online process. It starts with a free assessment from a medical provider licensed in your state who can determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. So don't wait. Join the hundreds of thousands of guys who've gotten help for their ED through HIMSS.
To start your free online visit and find ED treatment at up to 95% off brand name prices, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit.
This is Larry Steinitz with Investor Schooling. You may know me from my book, Money Hacks. You may know me from my radio shows, and you may even know me from some of these commercials. But listen, I'm teaching stuff that people need to learn about money. In fact, my favorite topic is money. So go to investorschooling.com and you will learn things about money that you never even knew existed. We will teach you things about real estate, about the stock market, and about how to use your IRAs properly. Go to investorschooling.com and sign up for a complimentary class this Thursday night at 7 o'clock. That's investorschooling.com. This is Larry Steinitz with Investor Schooling. Are you tired of hearing about the recession that's coming? Are you prepared for it? Well, listen, at investorschooling.com, we're going to teach you ways to prepare for the recession that you didn't even know existed. We're going to teach you strategies on how to use real estate. We're going to teach you strategies how to use the stock market properly. That's right, you can even make money in the stock market when the stock market goes down. Hey, go to investorschooling.com and register for a free class this Thursday night, and you will learn all of these techniques. Go to investorschooling.com right now, RSVP for this Thursday. We'll see you there.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the woots. And now a speech.
I just want to say that friendship is about heart and brain. Who's with me?
Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
And my brain is saying, when it's time to go home, somebody call me a ride.
Love that guy.
Me too.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
We know you're uncertain about psychics. Is this fortune teller you found on a forum legit?
Your one true love is...
me! That's why California psychics reject 98% of the psychics who apply to work with us. We guarantee if your reading isn't life-changing, it's free. New customers receive 20 minutes for just $20. So experience the joy of certainty at CaliforniaPsychics.com.
Rich Zeoil from the Cherry Hill Volvo Studios, where relationships matter, on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT and the free Odyssey app.
I'm hooked on a feeling. I'm high on believing that you're in love with me. Lips as sweet as candy.
29. The Zeoil Show on a Friday. Friday-luia to you. It's Mike Opelka. I'm in for the fabulous Rich Zeoil. And he'll be back on Monday. It's just a little thing he's getting taken care of. We're trying to get hold of Lauren Fix, the car coach. And I'm going back and forth with Justin and making sure that we have the right number. Justin, I just checked with Lauren via text, and I texted you the right number. While you're working on that, let me talk to Kurt. Is it Kurt in King of Prussia? Is that who's on the phone? Hello, Kurt.
How you doing, Mike? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, it's a little windy. Are you out? What are you, on top of the mountain?
No, I'm just driving in my car.
Okay. It was a little windy. I was like, what the heck is going on? How are you, sir?
Yeah, no, I'm doing great, thanks. Good show. Just two quick things. One, my wife used to be a claims adjuster for a very, very large insurance company, and she did workers' comp. She did property. She hated workers' comp because she hated denying people, and she was told to by her managers, deny people the claims or at least find a way of not giving them the money they're asking for. So she absolutely hated it. And after 5 years of that, she gave up on that career. She hasn't done that in probably 20 years now, but she absolutely hated that. Now, we don't know why this guy got killed. However, a lot of people are saying, well, it was somebody disgruntled who didn't have their, their claim paid. And then one last thing is I went through this personally. I was visiting a neurological company. I was having severe back pain, went to a neurological group. We tried chiropractic. We tried epidural shots. Finally, I got permission to get the back surgery and stayed in network, got the back surgery, was given permission to go there, and then they ended up denying my claim. I had like a $10,000 bill out there. Wow. And I never fretted once. I just kept taking the bill, crumbling it up, tossing it in the round file, saying, hey, you guys owe me. I don't really care. You guys figure this out. And after about 6 months of getting constant, we're going to send this to collections and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, whatever. Do your best. They finally called me. Instead of you being on the phone with them for an hour and not getting the right person, they called me so that we could work it out. And that's when they discovered that either purposely or accidentally miscoded it. So therefore, it got cleared up. But it was like, you guys gave me permission. I'm not paying this bill. Don't worry about it. I'm just, for anybody out there, don't go hurt anybody. Just don't pay it. It's that simple.
Well, if you,
what are they going to do?
Kurt, if you've got the documentation, or if you have the history of the approval, then you know you're in the right, and it's easy to do. But what everybody worries about is if they say we're sending you to collections, a lot of people say, well, that's my credit rating, which affects everything. Credit rating hits everything now, including job applications. So I understand why people get nervous and worried, et cetera. But it's a crazy world. How's your back? Are you all right?
I wish I could tell you the name of the neurological place down in Lancaster. They are phenomenal. I have been pain-free for 18 years. I had a disc removed.
Wow.
Pain-free for about 18 years. So, wonderful group of neurological people down in Lancaster. You can kind of figure out who I'm talking about.
Yeah, I think I can.
They were phenomenal people. Good people.
I'm glad.
Well, thank you for asking, though. Much appreciated.
Trust me, I understand. Pain is one of those things that if you're dealing with it, it takes you out of your life. And if you get relief from it, it opens up a new world for you. So I'm happy to hear that result. And I'm also happy to hear the result of the insurance company. But you're right. 20 years ago, my wife and I lived, like I said, we lived in New York City. And the lady across the hall from us set her apartment on fire. She was crazy. And we were on the 20th floor, and they vented the fire through our apartment. And we lost 90% of everything we owned in our apartment. And the insurance company came in and, they were arguing over everything. They argued over changing the floor in the closets, so everything is a cost. So I understand your wife's pain and suffering with her job on that. But yeah, the insurance business is a tough business on some levels, and it's especially heartbreaking and irritating to some people. But thanks for being there, Kurt. Really happy your back is good. Appreciate you, sir.
Thank you. Great show.
Thank you. And speaking of my favorite people, Lauren fixes the car coach. And I talk to Lauren almost every week on the weekend show and wherever else I am. And I'm watching the news this last couple of weeks, and Donald Trump's threats of tariffs on the car on Canada and Mexico had me thinking, wait, we get a lot of cars from Canada. We might be getting cars coming out of Mexico, and that's connected to China. We have cars built here in America. We have car parts coming to here from other places. So I wanted to talk to Lauren about what the impact of those tariffs could be. But I also want to talk to Lauren about the headline I'm reading that a major car company that's been around for a long time, Nissan, might be going away. Lauren Fix, thanks for being here, my friend. What's the word on Nissan? What's going on there?
There's a lot going on in the industry. We've got Stellantis, Nissan, Jaguar, and Volkswagen all in trouble. Nissan's the one I'm really concerned about. It looks like within the next 12 to 14 months, if they don't get things turned around, they may find themselves in a really bad situation. And this impacts, and you think, oh, so what? I don't buy Nissan product, or I don't care. Where you do care is when it affects your local market. No matter where you are in a local market, there are dealers that have invested millions and millions of dollars in the dealership, in the cars that are on the inventory on the lot. And if those vehicles can't have no place to go, no place to work on, you bought a car, maybe you're thinking about buying a car, but think about the jobs and all those companies connected to it. It could be an accounting firm. It could be the diner across the street, the dry cleaner. It really can hurt a small town, even a large town. And without the jobs, it impacts the state, including the country.
Are there any states in this country that have Nissan plants in them?
Yes. Tennessee is where the big plant is. I've been there a couple times. I'm also concerned, this is something new that just came up last night after I put out my report on Car Coach Reports, that they are now going to allow Infiniti dealers that are standalone, which is the luxury line of Nissan, to merge into the same building as Nissan, which means essentially you've got a dealership that has not sold many cars, and the average are saying 66 cars a year. You can't live on that. I mean, maybe a month, but that's still questionable. And taking those Infiniti luxury cars and moving them into a Nissan dealership may be okay, but then you've got an empty building that you've invested in. So I'm really concerned on a global basis. This is even worse because Mitsubishi has a partnership with Nissan. They've moved their home base also to the Nashville area. But Renault, which is the French car company, had an investment in Nissan, and they've been selling off their investment. Some of it has been purchased by Honda, but I don't see Honda buying Nissan. I just don't see that happening.
This is really interesting because Lauren Fix is with us. She's the car coach, and she mentioned Car Coach Reports. That's her YouTube channel where she puts all these great videos up. Lauren, when Infiniti came out, and it was this breakout luxury brand that came out of Nissan, they originally, just like Genesis was inside Hyundai dealerships, and then they spun out to become their own. So that's how all these luxury upper end groups like Lexus came out of Toyota and then became its own brand, and Infiniti came out of Nissan. For them going back into the Nissan dealerships, this is kind of going back to their roots, but it's a negative story, as you've said.
It is, and I'll tell you what I think happened, and you and I covered this when it happened. When Carlos Ghosn, if you don't remember this, he was the CEO of the Nissan Group out of Japan. Pardon me. He landed in Japan with his a lawyer, and they arrested him. And if you remember, there's a whole movie on this. He escaped in a music box, and because he wasn't Japanese, they wanted to get rid of him. They were worried that the French car company that he had saved, Renault, which was a debt-free car company that he had brought into the fold, was essentially going to take over this Japanese car company. And they thought, oh, my gosh, we as Japanese from our culture don't want the French to own us. So they came up with a story, shall we say, no one's going to know the truth because we weren't there, that he was stealing from the company, even though he had made the company successful. And they had him arrested. And at that time, what a lot of people don't realize, and this is the full circle interesting story, a friend of mine, Jose Munez, who had worked at Nissan for years and years and years, and I remember when he was like just at entry level, made his way to second in command. And he told me the story personally, that he got a phone call in his office one day in Japan, and they said, grab your personal items and come downstairs and get in the car. And like when you get a call like that, you're like, okay, especially when it's someone you know who's doing this for your safety. He did. He left the country. They grabbed all his personal items and shipped them back, and he got picked up by Hyundai. And now he's the president of Hyundai Global, and that includes the Genesis line and the Hyundai line. And look at their products. Look what they are producing today.
Yeah.
When you saw Hyundai hit the U.S. markets, we were like, it's okay. It's transportation. They weren't great cars. Now they're really great cars. And what you're also seeing is the Genesis lineup being really premium, and they have a new performance line coming out called Magma, and all of this is under the brain power of Jose Munez, who worked for Carlos Ghosn. And they literally, that could have been a Nissan product line, and they let it all go. And now they're struggling where Hyundai is succeeding, and you can see where the mistake was huge.
So, Lauren, let me ask you this. That's a fascinating story. I'm sure there'll be another chapter of the Carlos Ghosn story in a movie. Let me ask you this question. If Nissan is in serious trouble and they're cutting costs right now, those are still well-made cars, I think. Are there, if you're looking for a car, are there deals to be had for new Nissans out there?
Absolutely, there are deals to be had. There are incentives and lots of them. So if you're thinking about a new car, I don't think they're going to go out of business. And even if they did, that doesn't mean you can't get service, you can't get parts. All right, we've all know about Saturns and Oldsmobiles and other vehicles, that brands that don't exist anymore, like Mercury. If you had a Mercury product, you'd still be able to get it serviced. So I don't believe that is a concern. But if you're looking for a deal, especially with coming to the end of the year, I would look at the Nissan product line. I would also look at Volkswagen. I would look at Stellantis. There's a lot of, and I've covered this on my channel, of what happens to cars that aren't sold. There are cars sitting in the lot 3, 4, 5, 6, 700 days. That's years. And at that point, the dealer's like, we're either going to take this to auction and get rid of this, but anybody that walks in the lot and says, what kind of deals do you have? They're going to show you that car first.
Lauren,
they want those cars off the lot.
You keep saying Stellantis. I've never seen a car with the branding Stellantis. What's a Stellantis?
Well, Stellantis is a bunch of brands. Now, I'll give you just a quick rundown. When Chrysler was having financial problems, and they hired Lee Iacocca, and then he got it back up, and they got the minivan and the K car and all these great cars, And they started doing really well, and they put out all these great performance engines, like from Dodge and Chrysler and Ram, which is the trucks, Jeep, and they also own Alfa Romeo, Maserati, and Fiat. So all those brands are underneath this window, because what happened was they couldn't make it work. So they got money from the government. They ended up selling the company to FCA, which is Fiat Chrysler Association, which is an Italian car company, and John Elkann was running it. And then they had financial troubles. So they sold it to Peugeot, which is a French car company. And the guy that was running it just stepped down on Sunday. It was like I think I sent you a text, and it was a last minute kind of like, whoa, that was a surprise on a Sunday night that the CEO says, I'm done.
So
because they didn't agree, because he wanted to double down on electric cars.
So Lawrence, Stellantis. So I'm thinking Dodge, Ram in America. Those are Stellantis. Jeep. Those are Stellantis
Jeep's
products.
huge. Chrysler, Fiat, Alfa Romeo, Maserati.
Okay.
Ferrari was under that. They spun Ferrari off to its own company, which is a smart idea.
Yeah, thank God for the life of Ferrari. Lauren, I don't have too much time. Tell me, what is the most American car? What is the car made in America that doesn't have to worry about getting parts from Canada or Mexico or China? What's the most American-made car built in this country?
You know, for a long time, the big three were Ford, GM, and Chrysler. Well, now that Chrysler's a Belgian car company, it is now Ford, GM, and Tesla. So Tesla is the most American-made car, believe it or not. If you're looking at the non-order online cars, it's Honda, believe it or not. So they have 6 plants, and maybe even 7 plants now in the U.S., and you can buy a Honda that's made either out of Marysville, Ohio. They're made in a truck plant in Alabama. Hyundai builds here, and BMW, their number one plant, the largest plant in the world, is in South Carolina. And every single SUV made in the world is made in South Carolina, the number one employer for the whole state. 30 years they've been there. So they did it right, and they're selling all around the world, built here in the U.S.
That's amazing. Real quickly, Elon Musk has come out and said he doesn't think the electric vehicle manufacturers need the $7,500 government rebate. Surprising to you or not?
No, I love it. That's a real smart marketing move, because he owns like 66% of the electric vehicle car market. So if you take away your competition, how do you get rid of them? Take away the mandate. If there's no longer a $7,500 tax credit, he's like, perfect. Everybody's my customer, because they're going to buy my car because they like the Tesla brand. They had good Tesla experience. He's working with the government. He's the number one contractor for the Department of Defense. So believe me, he's no fool. But if you take away your competition's ability to sell cars by losing the tax credit, he's the winner. So actually, it's pretty smart.
Great stuff as always. Lauren Fix is the Car Coach. Follow her everywhere on social media. Her YouTube channel, Car Coach Reports, is great. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
I got to take a break. It's 4:45. Zeoil Show with Opelka and for Rich Zeoil on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
Big news, Cherry Hill. The Hester Chevrolet family is expanding with our new location, Hester Chevy of Cherry Hill, formerly Mall Chevrolet. For over 40 years, the Hester Automotive family has been part of the Cherry Hill community. With over 600 vehicles available, Hester Chevy of Cherry Hill now offers one of the largest inventories of Chevy vehicles in the tri-state area. See why 2 Hester Chevy locations are even better than 1. Come visit Hester Chevy at the mall or always online at HesterChevyCH.com.
Your way or no way at Hester Chevrolet.
There's a reason that potato chips don't come in a clear bag.
There's only 8 chips in this bag.
That's why. It's only about 2/3 full. The rest is air. It's a lot like opening up your 401k at retirement. You get about 2/3 of it, and the rest goes to Uncle Sam. Jim Cipriotti at the Retire Ready Financial Group can help. His tax mapping process can help forecast what your tax bill will be in the future, and that way you can build a strategy now to potentially decrease your tax bill in retirement. In other words, more for you and less for Uncle Sam. Call today for your complimentary retirement tax mapping report, 610-894-7415. That's 610-894-7415, or find them online at retirereadyfg.com. And get Uncle Sam's greedy hands out of your retirement.
Hey, you've had enough.
With a complimentary tax mapping report from Jim Cipriotti. Investment advisory services offered through Retire Ready Wealth Management, a registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through James V. Cipriati, Retire Ready Financial Group, LLC. NPN number 2083768.
Honey, bags are packed and in the trunk. Is the car good to drive to Mother's holiday dinner?
Yes, dear. Car's good. We have Ox Car Care for their extended car service plan. Ox covers our repair bills if anything happens. We have no worries if any problems come up on our holiday travels. Ox Car Care has our back.
I remember. Ox has flexible coverage plans that can protect issues with engine, transmission, brake systems, and so much more.
Yep, we don't pay. Ox pays. Ox gets it fixed for us. Joe at the auto shop says Ox Car Care pays them directly, and there's no complicated paperwork. Ox is A+ rated, with already millions of dollars paid out in claims.
Right. They handled our claim from start to finish, unlike those other companies. Good call. The last thing we need is an unexpected car repair bill this holiday. The only thing now is, which pie is Aunt Martha making?
Drive with absolute peace of mind this holiday season. Call Ox Car Care for your free quote. 800-458-0279. Don't get stuck with a major car repair bill. Call Ox today. 800-458-0279. 800-458-0279. Or oxcarcare.com.
Prescription products require completion of an online consultation with an independent healthcare provider and are only available if prescribed. Subscription required. Additional restrictions apply. See website for more details and safety information.
Did you know that men across the country are getting their ED meds at TriRexMD.com and saving thousands of dollars? TriRexMD.com has FDA-approved ED meds and is now offering sample packs. Listen to what guys are saying about TriRexMD.com.
My partner thinks that I am a rock star.
I felt like a young man again. My wife is definitely much happier.
I walk a little taller when I'm using the product, knowing what the results are going to be.
Because it is effective, I say I'm on a second honeymoon.
It's literally life-changing.
Visit TriRexMD.com. Your consultation is free, there's no copays, no doctor office visits, and your shipping is always free. You can now access a 30-day sample pack at TriRexMD.com with generics, if appropriate. Visit TriRexMD.com right now to get your sample pack. That's TriRexMD.com.
Hey, it's Rich. Zeoil business owners can count on McCausland Lock and Alarm to secure and control access to their facilities. Enjoy peace of mind while their access control and CCTV systems provide top-of-the-line protection for your assets. Tom McCausland's wealth of experience allows McCausland to effectively protect all types of facilities in any environment, and their customer service is unmatched. Call today, 610-430-1500. 610-430-1500. McCausland Lock and Alarm, securing your business, securing your future.
As a business owner, you wear a lot of hats. One minute you're ordering today's inventory, and the next you're planning tomorrow's expansion. It's complicated, but your business credit card should be simple. With the Signify Business Cash Card by Wells Fargo, you earn unlimited 2% cash rewards on purchases for your business, with no caps or categories to track. Signify Business Cash, the deliberately simple business credit card. Learn more at wellsfargo.com/signify. Terms apply.
Free speech lives here. With Dom Giordano, weekdays noon till 3 on Odyssey's #1 talk station, 1210 WPHT.
In a pretty cabinet, she says, just like Marie Antoinette, building a remedy for Khrushchev.
It is 4:50 on this Friday. Hallelujah to you. The Zeoil Show with Mike Opelka in for my buddy Rich Zeoil. He returns on Monday. Just getting a little adjustment on something. I think it's bone spurs. I think that's what he said. I don't know if that's public or if I just broke a HIPAA law or something.
No,
By the way, has he said that on air?
Several times.
Okay, good. Whew. I didn't want to get in any trouble here, any more trouble. That song, Killer Queen by Queen from the 70s, Brian May on guitars, he's now going to be Sir Brian May. He will be King Charles's first knighting. So King Charles making Brian May Sir Brian May, which is very cool. Big fan of Queen. Excellent stuff. As I said, Mike Opelka in for Zeoil. The big story of the day, and really it's ongoing, is the story on the shooting of the insurance company executive in Manhattan a couple days ago. And there are all kinds of theories on where the heck this guy is. That top story of the day, sponsored by Veneria Dental. Dr. Veneria, the master of implant dentistry, and named the top dentist in New Jersey for 10 consecutive years. Schedule your implant consultation today. Call 856-786-2020. You should do that. 856-786-2020. get the master doing your dental implants. But Vinny in Newark, Delaware. Vinny, I think you had a comment or a question about the shooting, the insurance company shooting.
Yeah. Yes, I just thought it was really weird. The first statement that the wife made was, it didn't seem to be an emotional statement that a new widow would make about her husband being murdered. It was just an odd statement. And so I didn't know at that point that they were separated, but it didn't shock me when I heard that news. So I don't know if you heard that original quote, but she said, I am just learning about this now, and I'm trying to console my children. And it just struck me as an odd statement for somebody that had just lost their husband.
Could it be, Vinny, that, as guys, you and I, and I think it was Craig was on the phone with, or Tom earlier, it was Tom in Port Richmond, that as guys, we would like our widows to be broken up and inconsolable and not able to speak to the media. I want them to totally break down. Is that wrong?
100%. So I just thought that was really odd, and so.
Yeah, I felt the same way. And now that we're hearing they haven't been living together since 2018, you have to wonder, is there another mitigating circumstance or maybe some other cause to this shooting than the speculation around a frustrated insured person who didn't get the coverage they wanted? I'm sure the cops and all the investigations are looking into that as well. But
right.
You're down.
But
you're
watch
down in,
all those.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I said, since you watch all the murder mystery things on TV, the spouse is always the first one on the suspect list.
Absolutely.
Usually in all these investigations. So.
It's always family. You go to family first, and you start looking for stuff. You start looking for insurance policies. You start looking for, where they go into the gym suddenly every day for the last 6 months, and there's a new hot instructor there, whether it's male or female. I feel like I got some sort of detective certificate from watching all these shows, but no, I'm just a speculator like everybody else. It's crazy.
And then the other thing, the guy asked about the case against Delaware. That's
yes.
relative to the sheet funds. Those monies that Delaware acquires, they're like quarters you'd find underneath your sofa. So all these companies that are incorporated on paper in Delaware, we get all of the uncashed life insurance policies, unclaimed dividends, unclaimed stocks, unclaimed bonds, $245 million a year. And our budget used to be $1 billion. So a quarter of our budget was garnered through this sheet fund. So it's a pretty big deal for Delaware. It's huge.
And the other states figured it out and said, hey, we want a slice of that pie. You got to start sending that money back to us.
100%.
Wow.
So,
yeah, I think there was a movie. Somebody will remind me of it. There was a movie about these guys who figured out if you put a penny or a half a penny on every stock trade and then you siphoned it off through a computer program, you could get rich. And it's kind of the same thing.
That was the Office. I forget the name of the movie, but Jennifer Aniston was in it. Office Works or something. The guy with the stapler and all. It was.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
can't remember the name of it.
And they got caught because the money got to be so big, everybody would hold on.
Exactly.
Thanks for being there, Vinny. Appreciate all your input and the great information on that sheet funds out of the state of Delaware. Have a great weekend, sir. Thank you.
You too.
Michael,
love the show. See you.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. God bless. Mike Opelka in for Zeoil. It's Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
Hey, radio listeners, don't miss the Legacy Box Cyber Week sale going on now.
You've heard about Legacy Box all year long, and with our Cyber Week sale, now is the time to take advantage of our best sale of the year. Legacy Box is the most meaningful gift you can give this holiday season. It's simple, safe, and has been trusted by millions.
That's right, it's our best sale of the year. Right now, when you go to LegacyBox.com, you can save an unreal 65% on your Legacy Box.
And for a limited time, you can preserve your tapes, film reels, and photos for as low as $27, saving you hundreds.
Hurry, our best sale of the year won't last long. Visit LegacyBox.com for an unreal 65% off during our Cyber Week sale. With limited quantities ready to ship, This deal will go fast.
Shop our Cyber Week sale now at legacybox.com/value to take 65% off. Buy your Legacy Box today and send in when you're ready. legacybox.com/value.
As a business owner, you wear a lot of hats. One minute you're ordering today's inventory, and the next you're planning tomorrow's expansion. It's complicated, but your business credit card should be simple. With the Signify Business Cash Card by Wells Fargo, you earn unlimited 2% cash rewards on purchases for your business, with no caps or categories to track. Signify Business Cash, the deliberately simple business credit card. Learn more at wellsfargo.com/signify. Terms apply.
Window Nation presents the 1210 WPHT Veteran Spotlight in partnership with the Travis Manion Foundation. Listen the first Wednesday of every month as Kale and Company shines a spotlight on a local veteran, highlighting their remarkable commitment to the community and their exceptional service in the military. Presented by Window Nation. At Window Nation, there's nothing more important than giving back to the communities we serve. For all of your window and door needs, visit windownation.com. That's windownation.com.
Hey, it's Greg with Kale and Company. Tackle the NFL action on FanDuel in partnership with Valley Forge Casino. It's America's #1 sports book. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. All you have to do is go to FanDuel.com/Greg, FanDuel.com/Greg to join today. Don't forget that promo code Greg, G-R-E-G. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. FanDuel.com/Greg one more time. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. FanDuel Sportsbook, the official partner of 1210 WPHT, so you know you're in good hands. 21 and over, President PA. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Times are tough. Sometimes a paycheck just doesn't cut it. Today, more people than ever need our help. I'm Ernie Russell, Board President of the Catholic Charities Appeal of the Archdiocese of Philadelphia. Through the annual appeal, nearly 1 million people in our community receive help through shelters, soup kitchens, schools for special education, and so much more. Please donate today. Your gift matters.
Please donate at CatholicCharitiesAppeal.org. That's CatholicCharitiesAppeal.org.
Listen, here's the secret to your holiday savings. Ready? You can get gifts starting at just $3.99. Toys from Disney, Mattel, Barbie, Sonic, Looney Tunes, Fisher-Price, Play-Doh, Nerf, Hot Wheels, and more. You can put a bow on these brands and won't break the bank. Adidas, Champion, Puma, Reebok, Converse, True Religion, DKNY, and Levi's are all at prices so low, they're basically a gift. The savings are hiding at You can put a bow on these brands and won't break the bank.
I'm Christopher Cruz. The jury in the deadly chokehold trial of Daniel Perry in New York has deadlocked on the manslaughter charge. The judge has dismissed it. Legal analyst Jessica Levinson on what's next.
The prosecution has said, we don't want a full mistrial, which is what the defense wants. We want to proceed and ask the jury, what about criminal negligence, that lower included charge?
Police believe the person who murdered a healthcare CEO Wednesday has left New York.
The manhunt, now in its third day, has spread to other states, including Connecticut and New Jersey. But the homicide investigation is playing out in New York, where the mayor says he's confident police will find their target.
We're seeing good old-fashioned police work here. We are on the right track. We're going to bring these persons to justice.
In addition to being chief executive of one of the nation's largest health insurers, Thompson was a father of 2. But much of the online reaction to his death has been rage at the insurance industry rather than sympathy for the victim. Tom Hansen, CBS News, New York.
Will President Biden issue blanket preemptive pardons?
White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre says yes, like other presidents have done, President Biden will issue pardons and commutations.
That normally happens around the holiday, so you could expect the president making a decision.
But will that decision include preemptive pardons for critics of President-elect Donald Trump from both sides of the aisle who have been threatened with retribution?
I'm not going to get into deliberations, private deliberations deliberations, and I'm just not going to get ahead of the president.
Linda Kenyon, CBS News, the White House.
Federal regulators are trying to prevent another pandemic. Here's CBS's Alexander Tin.
The USDA has issued a new order that will require mandatory testing of milk supplies at dairy processing facilities nationwide for bird flu. That's in hopes of rooting out potential undetected outbreaks of the virus in dairy herds.
The body of a 64-year-old woman who fell through a sinkhole about 40 miles from Pittsburgh has been recovered. Pennsylvania State Trooper Steve Limani.
She was about 12 feet southwest of where the original sinkhole occurred.
The Labor Department said today employers in the U.S. added 227,000 jobs last year. That may not stop the Fed from cutting rates at its next meeting, but after that, the bank may hold rates steady, says CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger.
Fed Chair Jerome Powell has been talking about how the economy is growing at a pretty decent pace, and I think he's giving us maybe a little bit of a glimpse inside the Fed.
The Dow closed down about 0.25%, but the Nasdaq closed up more than 0.75%. This is CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
WPHT, HD, WOGL, HD3, Philadelphia. From the Cherry Hill Volvo Studios, where relationships matter. Always live on the free Odyssey app. The revolution will be broadcast. This is the next generation of talk. Now, this is The Drive at 5. 30 minutes of non-stop talk with Rich Zeoil.
Well, it is The Drive at 5. It's not Rich Zeoil. It's Mike Opelka for my buddy Rich Zeoil. He's in sickbay today. He'll return on Monday. And ready for wind sprints, I'm sure, as he's getting the bone spurs taken care of. The 5 o'clock happy hour, which is what this hour is, sponsored by the Grand Hotel of Cape May. You should make holiday family memories that will last a lifetime at the Grand Hotel of Cape May. If you book your holiday season family splash package, and the longer you stay, the more you save, you need to go to grandhotelcapemay.com for all the package details. This is Zeoli's happy place. You want to make family memories. You're right there on the ocean. Think about it. It's beautiful inside and out. GrandHotelCapeMay.com. Get all the details. Do it today. Don't waste any more time. We have so much going on today. There's so many places I want to take you in the remaining half of the show today. And we got to talk about everything. We've talked a little bit about the manslaughter charge that was taken off the table in the Daniel Penny trial. The judge should have thrown the whole case out, did not, and the jury will have to return again on Monday for the homicide charge with reckless endangerment involved in it. And I suspect that will end up in the same manner. At least we hope it will. We're seeing that case falling apart. We're watching for any further developments in the shooting that we talked about, the insurance company CEO who was murdered on the streets of Manhattan in broad daylight. Well, just before dawn. It was still pretty bright out on 54th Street. We've been talking about that in the latest news on that. Last night was kind of an interesting night. Did you watch any of the Fox News Patriot Awards? They gave Donald Trump the Patriot of the Year award. They honored him as the Patriot of the Year. And the whole thing was kind of cool because it opened up with Donald Trump and Lee Greenwood singing God Bless the USA, and it ended with YMCA. So you've got the entire spectrum of Trumpism right there. Really was a great moment last night, and I thought it was pretty cool. Good for you, Fox. Good for you. They also honored some incredible people. They honored the group that brings the dogs back from war zones. You know, when soldiers are serving overseas, oftentimes they will find stray dogs and they will befriend them and they will take care of them. But when they go home from their deployments, it's pretty hard to bring the dogs back. There's a group that's done that, the Paws of War. And they had all those dogs on the stage last night. I don't know if you saw it. That was pretty cool. I was very happy to see that. Might have got a little misty-eyed when you saw the reunions. But the big moment was Donald Trump. Donald Trump, the Patriot of the Year, and he had some things to say.
And we're going to bring our country back, and it's going to be bigger and better and stronger than ever before. And we're going to be proud of our country again. Right now, we're not so proud of our country. We're going to be very proud of our country again. It's going to be better than ever before. It's going to be more successful than ever before. We're going to be more respected throughout the world than ever before. Countries are going to respect us again. They already do, actually. I think you have seen more happen in the last 2 weeks than you've seen in the last 4 years, and we're not even there yet.
He's right. He's right. We've seen more real positive action since the election, since the world woke up and went, hey, America got its stuff together. America figured it out. Biden's a bobo, and Kamala would have been a horrible mistake. That was really good. Donald Trump also talked last night about his conversations with the president of Mexico as it relates to both the caravans and the tariffs.
I spoke with, as you probably read, I spoke the other day to the president, the new president of Mexico, a very nice woman, and we had a very nice conversation, but she said, why are you doing this to me? I said, I'm not. I'm just putting a lot of tariffs on because you're allowing criminals to pour into our country, and we can't allow that anymore.
Yeah, good point. Good point. We can't allow that anymore. And guess what? For all the hand-wringing the left does about the tariffs, and I know a lot of people's eyes roll when you start bringing up the tariffs, for all the hand-wringing that the left does regarding the tariffs, there will be no tariffs if the border is closed, if the fentanyl is stopped. There's no concern about the tariffs. There's only concern about tariffs if you keep this Civ-like situation on the border. And so be smart for yourself, Mexico. You need us a lot more than we need you. That is the relationship that Donald Trump understands. That's truly the art of the deal. And if you've read Art of the Deal and you're watching Donald Trump, you get it. These are all the things that he's talked about all of his life. This is the art of the deal on display. Mexico needs us a lot more than we need them. And the left is always saying, oh, get ready to pay more for your avocados and your avocado toast. Yeah, that's how that works. I'd rather have a safer America than cheap avocado toast. I think we all get that. And Canada, boy, you saw what happened in Canada. How quickly that bobo turned around and got on his Canadian version of Air Force One and flew to Mar-a-Lago to say, please don't tariff us into insignificance. Canada's another thing. And I know Trump joked about making Canada the 51st state, and then Trudeau could be the governor when he'd be happier, as Zeoil says, in Cuba, half his homeland. But the reality here is Canada's got some big issues. Canada is starting to feel what America was feeling about 3 years ago. Canada's just starting to wake up to the fact that the progressivism is horrible for the individual. The progressivism hurts the individual. The government people, the people that are elected to office, they don't get hurt at all. They're taken care of, but it's the individual who's hurt. The Canadian healthcare system stinks. It closes down about September, October every year. And Canada's got their assisted suicide thing. They're happy to help you kill yourself because you're in pain, but you're in pain because you can't get your knee replacement or your hip replacement for 18 months. But you sure can get that assisted suicide pill in a couple hours. Canada's messed up, and the people are starting to stand up. And there is a populist who is probably going to give Trudeau a serious run very soon. And the Parliament's likely to throw Trudeau out. But the one thing I'm concerned about with Canada, they are now talking, and this is crazy talk. Canada is talking about serious gun confiscation. And I don't know how you do it. Look, we have hundreds of millions of guns in this country. I'm a big Second Amendment supporter, huge Second Amendment supporter. But Canada is talking about confiscating guns and giving those guns to Ukraine. I kid you not. The people of Canada, like I said, there's a little bit of a populism that's bubbling up. This happened yesterday in Canada, and they are banning the public safety minister, Dominic LeBlanc. He's shooting LeBlancs. Dominic LeBlanc announced that they are adding 324 more unique makes and models of assault-style firearms to its list of already banned weapons. This is right next door. This is America's hat, as Homer Simpson calls it. I like to call Canada America's favorite suburb. This was the news they gave to their citizens yesterday.
Today, the government is adding a further 324 unique makes and models of assault-style firearms to the list of prohibited firearms in Canada.
Not good, eh?
This prohibition takes effect immediately.
So no debate. We're just changing the rules, so they're automatically prohibited.
This means these firearms can no longer be legally used, sold, or imported in Canada, and can only be transferred or transported under extremely limited circumstances.
So we're making them illegal to use, to buy, to sell, and we're going to make it hard to get rid of them or transport them. I wonder where they're going.
As part of that process, the government of Canada has committed to the Ukrainian government to identify whether some of these guns could be donated to support the fight for democracy in Ukraine.
Anyone else worried for Canada? I am. I'm sorry, but the purpose of the Second Amendment, to those who don't understand it, the purpose of the Second Amendment was to make sure the citizens could protect themselves from a tyrannical government. And a tyrannical government in Canada just announced they're taking the guns away from the citizens and giving them to Ukraine. Giving them to Ukraine. Do you really think the guns that civilians have are going to be useful against the Russian military or the North Korean military that the Ukrainians are facing? No, this is crazy stuff. This is absolutely crazy stuff. And that's why Donald Trump is winning over. And boy, oh boy, is he picking up momentum. Although there was something that kind of happened this morning on, I think it was on Fox and Friends early this morning, when Melania Trump stopped by. If you didn't catch it, I understand. A lot of us have things to do. Melania Trump stopped by Fox and Friends, and invariably the discussion came down to her husband's dance moves. A really interesting discussion.
It's got to be so thoughtful, and we've heard him talk about, by the grace of God, he is alive today. What we have seen since he was elected and over the last couple of months is that calmness and maybe gratitude or whatever it is. But something else we've seen is he seems so kind of happy and loose, because last night at the Patriot Awards, I think we got a clip, he was doing the Trump dance. And I'm sure you've seen that evolve over the last. As you look right there, how do you describe your husband's dance moves?
Oh, this is very special and unique dance.
It is, right?
And I think a lot of people are copying it, and everybody have fun with it.
Yeah. Which part
is this? How you dance?
No.
Which part of the Trump did you give him any tips? Like in the beginning, it was low, and then it was up high, and now there's a golf swing.
No, he's coming all on his own.
Have you ever done the Trump dance? You are Mrs. Trump.
I did not.
I love the fact that she's telling everybody, I'm not doing that. We are not doing the Trump dance. It's all him. He's on his own. Is this how you dance? No. This isn't even close to how I dance. Melania Trump, she showed up and also helped out with some Christmas cookies being fed to children of first responders. And I thought that was really a great moment, a really fantastic moment. For all of the people on the left who are saying, oh, Melania Trump, she's going to leave him. They're getting divorced. I think you have a better reality that you might see a split between Kamala Harris and Doug Emhoff than you would between Donald and Melania Trump. I'm just saying. If you really want to know where the possibility is, Melania Trump is going nowhere. And this has been going on. The left cannot stand it that those two are together. It absolutely is driving them nuts. I covered the inauguration in 2017. I was on the Mall when Donald Trump was sworn in on one of those stupid press risers. It had a little bit of a rainy day, but it was pretty cool to be there. But the next day, I covered the Women's March. Remember the march with the kitty cat hats? We can't say what the real terminology was for the headgear. But the march with the kitty cat hats, they were out there and there were hundreds of signs referencing Melania should leave Donald Trump and they would help her escape from him. And it's been driving them crazy for all these years. And now here we are from 2017 going to 2025. You've got young Barron Trump, who is now a leading figure inside his father's campaign, who helped his dad get this big win. It is truly a wonderful thing to see. And I'm hoping I'll be there and be reporting from the Mall on that Monday, January 20th, when Donald Trump is sworn in again. Hoping we'll see it. There is no word on whether or not we will hear YMCA played. I think there was discussion yesterday, and correct me if I'm wrong, Sean, but there has been some conversation on this show about the fact that the Village People and YMCA have hit back to the number one spot on the pop charts, correct?
I believe so. I'm not 100% sure about that. I'm going to have to fact check that. Give me a couple seconds and I'll let you know.
No, I haven't a good account that YMCA is back on the pop charts. Now, that's long before you were born, YMCA came out.
Yeah, I remember when I was, I heard YMCA from the movie Shrek. That's the first time I heard of YMCA.
Seriously, Shrek is where you saw the YMCA?
That's the very first time I can really verbatim remember the song. Like, the first time I listened to it.
Oh my God. I am so old right now. But yeah, the YMCA song was in the 70s and the Village People were in the 70s and the guy who wrote the song is in his 70s. His name is Victor Willis. He's he was the cop in the group. They had the cop, you had the Indian, you had the construction worker. Can I say the Indian? I think I can. You had the cop, the Indian, the construction worker, the cowboy. And Dan told the story about how the cowboy hit on him when he was at some event years ago. But yeah, I know. It's kind of interesting. Talk about a curious brush with greatness. The cowboy invited Dan Borowski up to his hotel room. And Dan goes, no, I have a girlfriend. Thank you. But YMCA at the top of the electronic digital song charts.
Yep, you are correct. I just checked it right now. Yep,
that's right.
It's top chart, and it was approached on November 5th, and it's number one.
Number one. And Victor Willis, with his whole cop uniform on, was on Fox News talking about this phenomenon and asked if he will be singing it at the inauguration.
The dance is basically everywhere.
One never knows, you know. Time is the only thing that lets you know. So I never had any idea.
The question on everyone's mind now, will you play at the inauguration, Victor?
Well, if you were to ask me today if Village People would perform at the inauguration, I would probably say not, because we'd be concerned about endorsement. But however,
if the president-elect, because the president-elect has done so much for YMCA and brought so much joy to so many people, the song has actually gone back to #1, and it's still #1 today. So if he were to ask village people to perform the song live for him, we'd have to seriously consider it.
Well, we know he watches, so Mr. President-elect, the ball's in your court. Finally, before we let you go.
I'm stopping him right there. I find that fascinating that they were first worried about if they played, would they be shut down? Maybe I should play the second half of this. There was some question about the YMCA song being a gay anthem. That was one of the things that was discussed. I think that's where this interview is going. And initially, the YMCA was everywhere. It was in discos everywhere. And then it did kind of feel like it became an anthem of the LGBT, maybe before the T, community. The lesbian, gay, and bisexual community lifted it as an anthem, as they did in the Navy. But that may be a problem.
Oh, you're in entertainment. You've been dancing for decades. What do you make of the dance?
Oh, the Trump dance question here.
Well, that's the Trump thing, you know. When we do the show, we spell out the letters, but when he does it, he just does his little move, and that's his groove. And it works for him, and that's what's important.
It works for him. They did say that it's Victor Willis did say that it's not a gay anthem, and he wants to dispel anyone of that. I think it's sort of an American pop culture theme now, with Donald Trump especially. Like I said, at the Fox Awards last night, they went from Lee Greenwood to the Village People during the Trump presentation. That's pretty darn good. But we will see if the Village People show up at the inauguration. Wouldn't that be just amazing? I played this earlier. I got to play a little bit of it. Somebody has put out a song called The Trump Dance. Do the Trump, in case you missed it.
Yeah. Trump the Don. There's a new dance move going on. Check it out. Everybody move your arms like this. There's a dance all the people do, and I think it's a hit. Don't be shy, go and get up on the dance floor. Have the time of your life, I'm the man, do the Trump. Do the Trump. In the school, in the pool, or in the club. We don't got no time for haters, they just their way. We're about to turn the country to a red state. Do the Trump. 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 Do the Trump.
Now, Sean, you're a fan of hip hop. How do you grade that song? How do you grade Do the Trump?
It wasn't that bad. I give it like a cool little 7, maybe a 6. Need some more bass, but I like it though.
All right, well, we'll torque up the bass next time we play it.
Yeah. Definitely not bad though. I like it.
Yeah, and they didn't shoehorn the lyrics in too much. You know, sometimes the shoehorning the lyrics makes things difficult to swallow. That's a pretty good one. We might have another one going on. I have so many other things I want to get to today. Earlier today, we had a press conference for the first time in a long time with Karine Jean-Pierre actually taking questions from the press about Donald Trump, about Joe Biden pardoning his son Hunter, and then the discussion of some of the prospective pardons. Karine Jean-Pierre was asked about the Democrats who didn't like the pardon, the Democrats who were upset about it. And this was another fascinating back and forth from KJP and the members of the press.
So look, what the president is going to focus on, and you've heard us say this, is running through the tape. He's going to focus on the American people. He's going to continue to deliver historic progress every day. That's going to be his focus. And if you think about his legacy more broadly, it includes getting us out of COVID. It includes bringing the economy back. It includes beating Big Pharma. It includes making sure that we had an infrastructure investment that we're able to do in a bipartisan way. We're talking about not just actions that the president has taken that people are going to feel today, but for generations to come.
So she's not answered anything about the Democrats who've stood up and said, hey, you make us look stupid when you tell us I'm not going to pardon my son. I'm not going to commute any sentence he gets. I'm not going to pardon him. And you only said it a bazillion times. She's deflecting. It kept going.
So that's going to be his focus. I think folks in his party are going to have a lot of thoughts on this, obviously, but there have been, we've heard quotes and support from many elected officials. I just mentioned Jim Clyburn. There was Senator Dick Durbin. He said it's a right given to the president, a power given to him under the Constitution, and Joe Biden is using it in a very humane way. I think Hunter Biden has been exploited for political purposes. It's not the first time. It won't be the last time in American history, but I can certainly understand Joe Biden standing up and saying that he wants to protect his son. Nancy Pelosi, when she was asked about this particular issue, she said, I support the president. Representative Jasmine Crockett, I think that it was the right move. And there's been others who have, in the Democratic Party, part of the leadership, and others who have supported this president in his decision.
Just, though, when the president is saying that he believed it was a political prosecution, does it make it easier for incoming Trump to also say that he's pardoning January 6 rioters because he believes that those are political?
Look, I'm not going to get into what the incoming administration is going to do or not do. That's not something that I'm going to speak to. I've been pretty consistent about that since the election. We've been very clear about where we stand on January 6th. And so I'm not going to get into that. But I think, and you all, some of you have reported this, Republicans have been his political opponents in Congress have been very clear about this. The president talks about this again in his own statement about how they took credit for bringing political pressure on the process when it came to Hunter Biden's plea deal. And so they took credit for that when it fell apart. They took credit for that. And they have said they're not going to stop. And so, again, I'm not going to point to one particular reason for the president making this decision. There's been changing factors that led him to where he weighted this decision over the weekend.
Changing factors. And it's still very early in relative terms for a presidential pardon to be handed out. We still have 45 more days, 44 days and a handful of hours. Really kind of an interesting story here. But you know what else is interesting? When KJP brought up the fact that, and she was asked about Donald Trump, would this make it easier for Donald Trump to pardon January 6th detainees, for lack of a better term? It's almost the same language that was echoed on The View when the ironically named Joy Behar was talking with John Fetterman, Senator John Fetterman, on The View, and they're probably going to stop inviting him to The View. Behar talking to Fetterman, and he pointed out that the Biden pardon was correct because he felt it was a political prosecution of the president's son, and it's on the same lines as the Trump trials in New York.
It is his son, after all, and people do have sympathy for that. But a lot of people are angry with him about it. What do you say?
Oh, well, I think it's undeniable that the case against Hunter Biden was really politically motivated, but I also think it's true that the trial in New York for Trump that was political as well too. Now is that, and in both cases, I think a pardon is appropriate, and I really think collectively, America's confidence in these kinds of institutions have been damaged by these kinds of cases, and we cannot allow these kinds of institutions to be weaponized against our political opponents.
Yeah, he's right. I hate to say John Fetterman's right. We can't allow the institutions that we rely on to be the example of law and justice to the rest of the world to be used to attack political opponents. He's right on that. Now, I disagree on his categorization of the Hunter. case. And I mentioned it earlier in the show. If you were here, I have a friend who didn't pay his taxes. He won $100,000 in a football pool and neglected to report it, and the feds got wind of it, and it cost him 5 months in a federal correctional charm school, as he called it, and about $250,000 in fines and legal fees. So it is a case that does get prosecuted. That wasn't weaponization. The tax laws are the tax laws. And as far as the gun laws, if you're truly a fan of gun safety, as the Democrats always say, that we have to have background checks, if Hunter Biden lies on it, that's a felony. So, Fetterman, he's right about protecting the institutions. He's wrong, in my opinion, about saying that the Hunter Biden case was weaponization. Yeah, I know. I'm up against the clock here. It is the wrap up of the happy hour, the 30 minutes of nonstop talk on the Zeoil Show on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
It's the 5 o'clock happy hour on the Rich Zeoil Show. Brought to you by the Oceanfront Grand Hotel of Cape May, New Jersey. A premier full-service resort and conference center. GrandHotelCapeMay.com.
We'll get down to around 25 overnight. A few clouds here and there. Tomorrow, high 40, partly cloudy. Sunday, not seeing too much going on as far as precipitation goes, but we'll have a mix of clouds and sun, getting up to 55. Monday, rain is expected. On Tuesday, 56 with more rain.
Are you worried about the state of the economy? Concerned about market crashes and rising inflation wiping out your savings? At Noble Gold Investments, we understand your fears and have a solution. Call us today at 1-888-403-1050. Imagine safeguarding you and your family with a tangible asset that has stood the test of time. Gold. With Noble Gold Investments, you can diversify your portfolio and protect your wealth from economic turmoil. Our team will guide you through the process, ensuring you make informed decisions that best suit your needs. Call Noble Gold Investments today at 1-888-403-1050. That's 1-888-403-1050. The future is uncertain. Take control now. Call 1-888-403-1050.
Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals, including gold, involves risks. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
Hey, it's Matt, your Leaf Filter Trusted Pro. Gutters are an often neglected part of the home. They're also one of the most important. Clogged, overflowing gutters can cause serious problems like foundation damage or basement flooding, which can cost thousands of dollars to fix. Let's face it, cleaning gutters yourself is not only a hassle, it can be dangerous. But when you get Leaf Filter, you'll never have to worry about cleaning clogged gutters again. Get started today by visiting leaffilter.com/rain to schedule your free inspection. If you decide to move forward, we'll professionally clean, realign, and seal your gutters before installing our patented stainless steel micro mesh system. Leaf Filter keeps out everything but the water. And it's backed by a lifetime transferable no clogs warranty. So you're protected for good. We're in your neighborhood and ready to help. Visit Leaf Filter today for a free inspection and estimate, and you could save up to 30%. Visit leaffilter.com/rain. That's leaffilter.com/rain.
Hi, this is Dom Giordano. Happy holidays to all. It's the perfect time to talk about Rescue Natural Supplements and their Deck the Hall sale, because right now you can save up to 78% on exceptional natural supplements for every area of your health. From essentials like omega-3s, probiotics, cholesterol support, natural pain relief, and more. And the best part? Over a dozen health-boosting rescue products are marked down under $20. Get started. Stock up today. Call 800-26-ALIVE, 800-262-5483. Speak to a rescue product consultant or shop online at res-q.com. res-q.com. With Rescue, you can reinforce your immune system, boost energy, and reach your health goals. Again, there's no code needed to save up to 78% site-wide. So get a head start on your health. Visit res-q.com. That's res-q.com. Do it today. Hi, this is Joe Mederchik, PNC Bank Regional President.
Sticking to the fundamentals and not wavering from the game plan is a great philosophy for football and banking. And for nearly 160 years, our dedicated local PNC teams are in formation to help fans receive sound and reliable, personalized financial advice to get them across the goal line. Because, as we see it, a win for them is a win for the greater Philadelphia community. PNC Bank, brilliantly boring since 1865. PNC Bank, National Association, member FDIC.
Hey, Dawn here. When it comes to your home, trust is everything. For 45 years, Kitchen Magic has built a reputation for transforming kitchens with precision and care. From custom cabinets to countertops, backsplashes, in just a few days, your dream kitchen becomes a reality without all the hassle. Trust the name your neighbors have relied on for decades. Kitchen Magic. Get your free in-home consultation at kitchenmagic.com. Kitchenmagic.com. Let's cook up something extraordinary. Tell them Dawn sent you.
Steel holiday savings are here. Find the perfect gift at your local Steel dealer or shop the Steel Holiday Gift Guide at steelusa.com.
It's the Rich Zeoil Show, live from the Cherry Hill Volvo Studios, where relationships matter. Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
Let me run with you tonight. I'll take you on a moonlight ride.
It's 5:38 on a Friday night. Friday Luya to you. Mike Opelka in for my buddy Rich Zeoil, getting his bone spurs taken care of. He'll be back Monday. He will be back Monday, I'm sure. Back confident of that. I'm just, during the break, I was doing a couple things. I was checking the weather because it's going to be cold tonight. It's going to be in the 20s, and I have a 9 o'clock tea time tomorrow. I know, priorities. I'm supposed to be playing golf tomorrow morning. At 9 o'clock, it's going to be below freezing. I just have to figure out how much long underwear I have to put on in order to play golf. Yes, I play golf well into the winter. Nothing wrong with that. That's where I stay sane, is on the golf course. Seriously. And our buddy Dr. Michael Roizen from the Cleveland Clinic is going to join us next hour. He gives us great information on how to live better, and it's not political, but it's good advice. And one of the things Dr. Roizen always says is you need the 3 Ps in your life. You need purpose, passion, and a posse. And I have a purpose, and one of my purposes is to keep the Second Amendment alive. My father ingrained it in me as a young man that Second Amendment, or the First Amendment and the Second Amendment, two most important. The First Amendment has to be kept alive. We have to fight for it. My license plate is after one, which was my dad's motto. After the first, everything else is secondary. So my purpose is the First Amendment. My passion, other than my family, with my wife, is golf. I do play a lot of golf. And I do that with my posse. So I have my purpose, my passion, and my posse. And that's how you stay sane and healthy. So I will be layered, but on the golf course tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, unless there's a frost delay. I really was just checking. And I also checked into the YouTube channel. I know a lot of you are going, hey, how come we're not on the camera? I didn't know we had staff for the YouTube channel today. Otherwise, I would have fired up the camera. And we're going to keep the channel open because there's a lot of chat going on in the YouTube channel. I just popped in and said hello. You guys are very busy in the chat in the YouTube channel. And I appreciate it. I really appreciate it. I guess you didn't like the Trump song. I like the Trump dance song. It's hip-hop. A lot of you said, I hate that. It's fake music. Well, I like a lot of music. Before we came on the show today, I was talking with Dan Borowski, and he was playing something. I forget what he was playing, but it was really very loud. And he said, what, you don't like this? I said, no, I was listening to the London Symphony Orchestra playing Clair de Lune for Debussy because it gets me calm before I have to go charging into the studio. And he just laughed at me. But that's true. That's what it was. Somebody said, Uncle Sam says, it's so cold Al Gore is thinking about starting a thermal underwear outlet. Okay, I got it. Very good. Very good. But we have a lot to get to. And there are big stories everywhere for us to cover today. And I'm going to try and get to as many of them as possible before 7 o'clock. I mentioned Dr. Roizen's going to be joining us. We also have my buddy Gerald Posner. And if you've followed me on this radio station for 5.5 years now, you know that Gerald and I go way back. Gerald is an investigative journalist, and he wrote a book called Pharma that looked into what the big pharma industry was doing long before RFK Jr. came out with his Make America Healthy Again agenda. And Gerald knows the ins and outs of the pharma industry, and of late he's been focusing his efforts on the insanity we have seen in the, I guess it's the craziness of the treatment of children by the medical industrial complex who want to have kids on their lifelong plan of pharmaceuticals. And the transgender thing, which they have creatively named gender-affirming care. The industry is now into the billions of dollars, and it is going to destroy the lives of millions of kids. And the case in the Supreme Court that was argued the other day, we'll get to it because it is absolutely infuriating to me. Gerald's going to join us next hour, too. But I think the big story this hour and the big story of the day is the fact that Wednesday, it looked like Pete Hegseth's nomination for the Secretary of Defense position was on really thin ice. And then we saw Pete Hegseth making the rounds in the offices of some of the senators, and he's getting some pretty darn good reaction, I believe. And I think Hegseth is now on a better path. I think he's teetering on approval. And then earlier today, Donald Trump came out with a great endorsement of Pete Hegseth, saying that, you know, Pete's my guy, basically. And this is a very good indication that perhaps the arm twisting is working, and you're going to see Pete Hegseth confirmed as the Secretary of Defense. It also is some pretty bad news, I think, for Senator Joni Ernst of Iowa, someone I've talked to in the past, and I had no idea of some of the craziness in some of the statements made by Senator Joni Ernst. Now, she's a Republican. She served in the military. She's been a reliable senator. But Joni Ernst, in the past on PBS, saying this?
Some social experimentation. Do you agree with the sentiment that the military has become too woke?
I don't agree with that, but let me finesse it. So when it comes to wokeness in the military, I always push back because our military is not woke. I would say that there is civilian leadership of the military that is woke.
I see.
Okay, so there is a difference between the leadership and those that serve in uniform.
Well, you can't have, with all due respect, Senator, you can't have leaders that are woke and expect the rank and file, the members in uniform, to follow woke leadership. That's a bad mix. You can't have it both ways. She's probably going to face some serious primary challenges going forward. Seriously. I'm just telling you, that's going to happen. But I think what pushed Pete Hegseth to getting a stronger endorsement from Donald Trump today was this 40-second statement from late yesterday.
I'm proud of what I fought for. I'm not going to back down from them one bit. I will answer all of these senators' questions, but this will not be a process tried in the media. I don't answer to anyone in this group, none of you, not to that camera at all. I answer to President Trump, who received 76 million votes on behalf and a mandate for change. I answer to the 100 senators who are part of this process and those in the committee, and I answer to my Lord and Savior and my wife and my family. I'm proud to be here. And as long as Donald Trump wants me in this fight, I'm going to be standing right here in this fight, fighting to bring our Pentagon back to what it needs to be.
I think that was a critical moment for Pete Hegseth today. And I think that, ladies and gentlemen, was the top story, especially this hour, sponsored by our buddy Dr. Mike Veneria at Veneria Dental. If you are hesitant about getting that complex dental procedure, the person you need to talk to is Dr. Mike. Get a second opinion. He'll put your mind at ease and you will get the best treatment. Schedule your free consultation today. Call him. 856-786-2020. 856-786-2020. I have to take a break, and then I'm going to the phones. I know. We've got people hanging on. I'll get to the phones. We'll take care of business. Ed's in Delran. John's in North Carolina. It's Opelka in for Zeoil on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
Hey, it's Rich. I hope you're having a great, wonderful Thanksgiving week. Winter's on the way, obviously. We'll be doing the tree this weekend. Perfect time for you to think about reaching out to Emmons Roofing and Siding, my go-to contractor. Listen, protection, peace of mind, these things are paramount for your home. You know this. And we've been using Emmons for over 10 years for everything from roof replacement to window replacement, even bathroom remodel. Yes, Emmons does it all. And they offer each and every one of my listeners an inflation relief discount of 10% off. That's right, 10% off the Owens Corning roof. Lifetime warranty on that shingle, the best in the business. Anderson window replacement, siding, and more. Just reach out to them today. Just go to emmonsroofing.com, E-M-M-O-N-S, emmonsroofing.com. They serve our entire region, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware, and the Jersey Shore. If you got a shore house, make sure you get that roof looked at. 856-885-6677. 856-885-6677. Take advantage of that 10% off discount. emmonsroofing.com. Make sure you tell them I sent you.
As a business owner, you wear a lot of hats. One minute you're ordering today's inventory, and the next you're planning tomorrow's expansion. It's complicated, but your business credit card should be simple. With the Signify Business Cash Card by Wells Fargo, you earn unlimited 2% cash rewards on purchases for your business with no caps or categories to track. Signify Business Cash, the deliberately simple business credit card. Learn more at wellsfargo.com/signify. Terms apply.
There's a chill in the air. You flip on the heat, and nothing. And why does it always happen right after you've finally gotten cozy? For as little as $13 a month, Oliver will keep your home's heating, cooling, plumbing, and electrical systems in check year-round. And guess what? Membership also comes with yearly inspections, exclusive discounts on repairs and replacements, plus priority emergency service.
Call Oliver for all of your heating, cooling, plumbing, and electrical needs.
Honey, bags are packed and in the trunk. Is the car good to drive to Mother's holiday dinner?
Yes, dear. Car's good. We have Ox Car Care for their extended car service plan. Ox covers our repair bills if anything happens. We have no worries if any problems come up on our holiday travels. Ox Car Care has our back.
I remember. Ox has flexible coverage plans that can protect issues with engine, transmission, brake systems, and so much more.
Yep, we don't pay. Ox pays. Ox gets it fixed for us. Joe at the auto shop says Ox Car Care pays them directly, and there's no complicated paperwork. Ox is A+ rated, with already millions of dollars paid out in claims.
Right. They handled our claim from start to finish, unlike those other companies. Good call. The last thing we need is an unexpected car repair bill this holiday. The only thing now is, which pie is Aunt Martha making?
Drive with absolute peace of mind this holiday season. Call Ox Car Care for your free quote. 800-458-0279. Don't get stuck with a major car repair bill. Call Ox today. 800-458-0279. 800-458-0279 or oxcarcare.com.
Hey, radio listeners, don't miss the Legacy Box Cyber Week sale going on now.
You've heard about Legacy Box all year long, and with our Cyber Week sale, now is the time to take advantage of our best sale of the year. Legacy Box is the most meaningful gift you can give this holiday season. It's simple, safe, and has been trusted by millions.
That's right, it's our best sale of the year. Right now, when you go to LegacyBox.com, you can save an unreal 65% on your Legacy Box.
And for a limited time, you can preserve your tapes, film reels, and photos for as low as $27, saving you hundreds.
Hurry, our best sale of the year won't last long. Visit LegacyBox.com for an unreal 65% off during our Cyber Week sale. With limited quantities ready to ship, this deal will go fast.
Shop our Cyber Week sale now at legacybox.com/value to take 65% off. Buy your Legacy Box today and send in when you're ready. legacybox.com/value.
Shop Dell Technologies Cyber Monday event for their lowest prices of the year. The future is on sale today with limited time deals on select PCs like the XPS 16 that accelerate AI with Intel Core Ultra processors. Cyber Monday is their biggest sale of the year and the best time to upgrade, but it's only here for a limited time. Shop now at Dell.com/deals. That's Dell.com/deals.
This year, American farmers will harvest 2.8 billion bushels of wheat and 15.1 billion bushels of corn. And to this day, American road workers have built 4.2 million miles of roads and counting. We're proud that John Deere machines rolling off the line here in the USA play a part in supporting Americans who work the land and build a better tomorrow. Nothing runs like a Deere. Learn more at johndeere.com/manufacturing.
Hey, Zeoil Army, it's your main man, Jimmy Fallon. You better stay tuned for my show, the high-flying, death-defying audio safe space for cool people where America gets together at the dinner table and discusses all the issues facing our country. You might want to bring a glass of wine or a bottle of beer for this one. Coming up at 7 p.m. only on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT and free on the Odyssey app.
Oh, yeah, this is it. This is Debussy. I know everybody's thinking, what the heck happened? We had David Bowie at 5:30. This is Claude Debussy. Not Snowflakes Are Dancing. This is Claire de Lune. This is what I listen to before I get revved up for the show. I kind of center myself. It's the Zeoil Show. Mike Opelka for Rich Zeoil. Throwing a little classical music on the fire because I saw that it was bubbling in the YouTube chat. You know, break away from the rock and roll every now and then and put on a little classical music. Maybe even a little opera every now and then. A little Pavarotti. Get things going. All right, I promise you the phones, we get to the phones because the phones have been bubbling today. 855-839-1210 is the number. Let's check in with our buddy Ed in Delran. Hello, Ed. How are you doing?
Hey, Mike, how are you? Michael Opelka is putting on a great show and keeping us all in the know, even when I'm on the go.
And there's no snow.
Yep. Hey, maybe we'll get some this winter. Wouldn't hurt.
No, not while I have tea times, Ed. You're not allowed to do that. Not while I have tea times, my friend. We can't do that.
I hate to tell you, I says it is what it is. But isn't it amazing how all these idiots in Washington are trying to undermine the agenda that's so overwhelming? It's as plain as the nose on our faces.
Yeah, they keep saying, well, there's no landslide. There was no mandate. Well, there is an electoral landslide. And if you look at this one statistic that I keep going back to, and my brother-in-law and I were talking about this over dinner last night, and it is the fact that Kamala Harris did not flip one single county that Trump won in 2020. She did not outperform Biden in any county in America, and that's astounding.
Hey, I knew Trump was going to win after what happened to him in Butler, Pennsylvania. I knew right then and there that he escaped death that day, and I knew he was going to be the next president because God spared his life, in my opinion.
Yes, he did. Donald, and I think Mr. Trump realized it, too. I think President-elect Trump realizes he has a purpose that he needs to fulfill, and he's going to do it in the first 2 years.
Yep, and even Ronald Reagan, when he got shot, he said, you know what, I got to do what the Lord wants me to do for this country.
Well, everybody gets their reset, and it looks like Donald Trump got his July 13th in Butler, PA, and it was as we were getting ready to go on the air here on a Saturday night. I'll never forget that night. And I got to rock and roll, but thank you for always being there.
Merry Christmas, my friend.
Merry Christmas to you. Let's check in with John from North Carolina. Hello, John.
Well, you just played that tape of Karine Jean-Pierre not answering the question about the pardons.
Yeah.
And instead she tried to say, oh, no, the president's working on all these important issues for the American people. And then she said something that was unintentionally funny. She said, he's running through the tape.
Yeah, he is not running anywhere.
Right, he can't even walk through the tape.
Yeah, it was. If you've seen him lately, it was embarrassing in Angola how they had to lead him around. And then last night, the lighting of the Christmas tree, he looked like Jim Ignatowski from Taxi, or Dr. What's his name from Back to the Future. His hair was going 7 different directions. Okay, light the tree, would you? That's 14 million gigawatts to light the Christmas tree. It was crazy. It's crazy. I got to take a break, brother. I'm up against it, but I appreciate you being there, John.
Okay, Mike, hear you tomorrow night.
Yes, sir. Well, no, we're off tomorrow night. We got a Penn State game, but stay tuned. Next Saturday, it's Mike Opelka in for Zeoil on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
With a new administration bringing optimism back into the nation, it's more important now than ever before to become crash-proof.
Anthony Torelli, Clifton Heights, Pennsylvania. If President Trump can do what he did in his previous term as president and get the economy booming again, then that will be great for crash-proof, and it'll be great for my family and my future. This year, our portfolio grew by 15.7%. If I had left my funds with my previous advisor, that money would have returned about 8 to 9%, and we outperformed my previous advisor 2-1. That's interest credit that we're not going to lose with no fees involved. I'm glad the market's up, and I hope it continues to go up. But at some point, the market's going to come down again, and I'm guaranteed not to lose anything. We can continue on this pathway to success with crash-proof retirement.
You don't have to choose between security and opportunity. Schedule an appointment or register for our next event at the Copperfield Inn on January 22nd. 800-722-9728 or crashproofretirement.com.
Listen, here's the secret to your holiday savings. Ready? You can get gifts starting at just $3.99. Toys from Disney, Mattel, Barbie, Sonic, Looney Tunes, Fisher-Price, Play-Doh, Nerf, Hot Wheels, and more. You can put a bow on these brands and won't break the bank. Adidas, Champion, Puma, Reebok, Converse, True Religion, DKNY, and Levi's are all at prices so low, they're basically a gift. The savings are hiding at You can put a bow on these brands and won't break the bank.
Virtua Health, real patients, real doctors, real complex cases. Take one.
Open heart surgery, tear in my aorta.
The most complex cases come to us at Virtua Health.
I'm sure I wouldn't have been here without you.
Being a 45-year-old, not being able to walk up one flight of stairs, I had no idea I was in heart failure.
Virtua is a premier heart failure center in South Jersey.
They changed my life. It's truly a blessing.
Want to follow our stories? Go to virtua.org. Virtua Health, here for good.
Just hearing the word IRS can make people break out in a cold sweat. No one wants to deal with the IRS, and now you don't have to. The good news is Legal Tax Defense has been successfully negotiating with the IRS for more than 15 years. It doesn't matter how much you owe, whether it's $5,000 or $5 million. You deserve the best in the business on your side, and that is Legal Tax Defense. Even if you're working with someone else and just want a second opinion, there is no cost or obligation to call. They can prevent levies, liens, wage garnishments, even file back tax returns. And the best news about Legal Tax Defense is they won't take your case unless they know they will reduce or eliminate your tax debt. Call Legal Tax Defense right now for a free no-risk consultation. 800-253-6259. 800-253-6259. You have nothing to lose but everything to gain. 800-253-6259.
Charge, so you're now going to go back and deliberate on the lesser charge, which is count 2. That's criminally negligent homicide. But he sent them home for the day, so they're going to take the weekend, clear their minds, and they will begin their deliberations on the lesser charge on Monday.
The search for the person who shot and killed a healthcare company CEO in Manhattan has now been expanded to Atlanta, 875 miles from the crime scene. Police believe the suspect took a bus there. CBS's Pat Milton says police are also searching Central Park.
The NYPD is using drones searching for the suspect's backpack, which is believed to have been disposed of in the park.
CBS's Anna Schechter says healthcare companies are now taking steps to protect their executives.
They have ramped up security. They have pulled down profiles of their leadership teams from the web to avoid a potential copycat.
Deborah Tice, the mother of American journalist Austin Tice, says she's learned from a reliable source that her son is alive more than a decade after disappearing in Syria.
I would sincerely appreciate your most faithful prayers that we will see Austin walk free.
Vice President-elect J.D. Vance was in western North Carolina today getting a close-up look at hurricane damage.
We haven't forgotten yet.
The Vice President-elect toured Fairview in the mountainous Asheville area that sustained heavy damage. He said he wants FEMA to issue a waiver so people who lost their homes can live for now in mobile homes in places designated as flood areas. And Vance promised the Trump administration will improve the communications infrastructure.
If, God forbid, another area like this is affected by the storm, at least we have the communication in place to minimize the damage and to allow people to communicate with the people that they love.
Michael Toscano, CBS News.
A federal appeals court panel has ruled that a law requiring TikTok to be sold by its Chinese parent company or be barred from the U.S. is constitutional. The company says it will appeal the ruling to the Supreme Court. Taylor Swift will perform at the first of 3 sold-out weekend shows tonight in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. This young woman can't wait.
There's so many nice people here. We made so many friends and traded bracelets with them too, because that's kind of what we do.
The concerts are the final shows of Swift's 2-year-long Eras tour. Police in New Orleans have arrested a man they believe killed 2 people in separate shootings within an hour last month. This is CBS News.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Looking for a career path with flexibility, great pay, and benefits? Go to progressive.com/careers and apply online today.
WPHT, HD, WOGL, HD3, Philadelphia. From the Cherry Hill Volvo Studios, where relationships matter. Always live on the free Odyssey app. The revolution will be broadcast. This is the next generation of talk. Now on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT, Rich Zeoil.
It is the Zeoil Show. Rich Zeoil not here today. It's Mike Opelka from my buddy Rich Zeoil. It's only fair that I get to fill in for Rich today because my show tomorrow was taken from me by Penn State. Yes, there's a Penn State game tomorrow. I'm usually here 7 to 10 p.m. Sean's here with me tonight, too. He's with me on many, many nights on Saturday night, and so we got the team back together today, and we're sitting in for Rich. A lot of stuff going on. I know why Rich wanted to move to afternoons. Things happening in the Daniel Penny trial. They dismissed the biggest charge against him. In my opinion, they should have dismissed both. They have not. But that jury was sent home for the weekend. They'll be back on Monday. And hopefully they'll tell the judge again, no, Judge, we're still deadlocked, and they'll throw the whole thing out. And this nightmare for Penny will be over. And this hero, who should get a medal for what he did, can get on with his life. Let us hope. Let us hope and let us pray. We also told you that it looks like in the CEO shooting that everybody now seems to agree that the shooter is probably not here anymore. And I just got a really interesting piece of email from one of you. Valerie sent me this great email saying, hey, I keep waiting for somebody to mention the insurance executives that were killed in our city. 3 Cigna men returning from lunch in 1991. So a long time ago, 33 years ago. Yeah, a long time ago. It was the first thing that Val says she thought of when she heard the United Healthcare insurance story. Thank you for being there, Valerie. Appreciate the note. I did not know this story, so I'm interested to see. I did have a very, very kind of freaky reaction to the death of this insurance company executive. And why is that? Because I lived on 54th Street in New York City for 23 years. And that neighborhood is a neighborhood I'm very familiar with. As a matter of fact, the building that the insurance executive was headed to, that was the hotel where Donald Trump's victory party was held in 2016. And I walked from home to the hotel to get in place around 6 o'clock that night, election night in 2016, And then, if you remember, it was well into the into the early morning hours. Went way past midnight before Hillary Clinton's people finally said she's not coming out and she's going to lose. And Trump claimed victory, and they wheeled out that big cake. There was a giant cake of Trump's head, which was kind of weird. And Barron was just a little kid. But he came out and accepted, and then had to walk home across Manhattan. I just remember it was after 2 o'clock in the morning. Manhattan was very quiet election night. I think they had planned on a Hillary Clinton win. There was a barge on the Hudson River that was filled with fireworks, and the Clinton campaign had reportedly called the Trump campaign earlier in the evening and offered to sell them the fireworks. So they anticipated losing. That was the scuttlebutt inside the press pen, inside Trump headquarters that night. But I remember walking home with a spring in my step in November of 2016 across 54th Street. It's also the hotel where Donald Trump was part of the Al Smith dinner just shortly before the election. And that dinner that Kamala Harris refused to attend, and we all know how well Donald Trump did at that dinner. I think that was another one of the keys that helped Donald Trump's image, that he wasn't afraid to stand up to the criticism. Kamala Harris ran like a scared cat. So, yeah, that 54th Street, that's pretty crazy. But I think we all agree that they're gone. The shooter is gone. The shooter is gone. Is someone asking me about the insurance executive's name? I keep forgetting his name. I call him Hamilton earlier. It's Thompson. And his family is now being looked at. His wife is being investigated as a possible person of interest. They have been living separately since 2018, not 1990, 2018. It's a big stinking deal. It is a big stinking deal. The other story that I think is a big stinking deal, and I think is one of the big stories of the day, and we should give credit to the big story of the day, top story from our friends at Veneria Dental, Dr. Mike Veneria. Veneria Dental, where the master of the implant dentistry is there, Dr. Veneria, top dentist in New Jersey for 10 consecutive years. Schedule your free implant consultation. Call Veneria Dental, 856-786-2020, or, you can bounce over to veneriadental.com for more information, VANARIA dental.com. I'm talking about the story about the case heard in front of the Supreme Court, the transgender case. The state of Tennessee is protecting children, and I think they're doing a great job. They're trying to make sure that children who are not of their majority yet, who can't make a decision, will not be irreparably harmed by decisions their parents make on their behalf, subjecting them to chemicals that would forever change their lives. And I think this is just madness. And I reached out to my friend Gerald Posner. He's a great attorney. He's also a great author, investigative journalist. I told you his book, Pharma, which I'm reaching behind me to pick it up because it's so big. It's almost 800 pages. Pharma, Greed, Lies, and the Poisoning of America. Gerald wrote this book during the pandemic, before the pandemic, came out during the pandemic, and then he started researching into the transgender craziness. And he's the guy who knows it best, in my opinion. And I've got Gerald here with us. Gerald, did you watch the Supreme Court hearing? Did you sit through the whole thing?
I did, Mike. And, you would hope that this decision wasn't even up before the Supreme Court, but it's being worked out through the courts anyway because states are having to handle this since there's no federal policy or guidance on it. And I actually thought that Judge Roberts, Chief Justice, sort of said, when he said the Constitution leaves the question to the people's representatives, state legislatures, rather than to 9 people, none of whom's a doctor. Now, there aren't many doctors as well in the state legislatures, and we know that from the way places like California and Oregon and Washington pass crazy laws permitting trans at every level and cutting parents out. But still, we've got a better chance for some sanity at the state level than we do by just asking these justices to weigh in and make policy.
Yeah, I was stunned at some of the answers from the liberal justices, I guess. Sonia Sotomayor comparing some of the puberty blockers to aspirin when it comes to the risks.
Yeah. That was shocking. That was pretty shocking. I had my mouth open when I heard that. There's a risk to taking every medication, even to aspirin. I mean, it's so asinine that you're comparing puberty blockers, which have long-term permanent consequences when given to a child before they enter puberty, or these cross-sex hormones when they give boys estrogen or girls testosterone to try to get them ready for what they think is a transition to the other gender, which is impossible, but it sort of leaves them with permanent side effects that are debilitating. To compare that to aspirin is just the height of sort of ludicrous analogy, and I couldn't believe she did that.
Well, and then you have Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson kind of comparing what she calls discrimination to the discrimination against interracial marriage. I kind of was saying, wait a minute, hold on a second. We just had a new limit reached with Sotomayor, and you're trumping her with this ridiculousness.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And I thought I sort of have gotten used to gender advocates and those who are, pushing this ideology and helping to get this contagion, seduce other teenagers around the country to think that maybe they can change their gender and don't realize how disastrous it is and what an experiment it is. That last thing that would be injected into it all was race. But Ketanji Brown managed to do that by saying, it's analogous to, when we had Virginia saying you couldn't have intermarriage. It's not at all analogous to that. It's nothing like that. The reason is because Ketanji Brown, by that question, and those who are pushing gender ideology are trying to say that the same way that you're born black or white, you have no control over that. It's part of your genes. That's how your genetic makeup is. It's the same with trans, so that a child is born genetically in the wrong body, and therefore medicine has to help them transition out of it. That's absolutely just BS. It's not. There are small fraction of children born what are called intersex. Sometimes it's like, both genitals, and the doctors decide which way they're going to be raised by doing a surgery. That's like 1,000th of 1%. And what's happening today is 4, 5, 6% of kids, more in some schools, are being diagnosed with so-called gender dysphoria and then being put into the medical pipeline of hormones and later surgeries. We're greatly overdiagnosing this so-called gender dysphoria, and to say that it's the same as race is just also not only wrong, it's preposterous.
Well, it's profitable too, Gerald. So almost a year ago, you wrote about the money pipeline, the transgender money pipeline. That pipeline isn't getting shut off anytime soon, is it?
No, and one of the things the Trump administration can do coming in is, there are a number of things they could do with executive orders because it's going to be tougher to get a bill in Congress out on it. But they can stop the dispensing of drugs that are not approved by the FDA for a specific condition to children. So if they did that, that would mean, guess what? You could not prescribe in the United States puberty blockers to children under the age of 18. Why? Because the FDA has never approved them as puberty blockers. They've approved them for other illnesses, and they're prescribed for that, but they're prescribed off-label by the doctors for puberty blockers. And while we allow that for adults, maybe for children, that can be stopped. It could be stopped by the FDA. It could be stopped by an RFK Jr. if he's at the FDA. And I think that there are things the Trump administration can do to put sort of the brakes on this experimentation on kids and have some effect.
My big question to you, Gerald Posner, and that's who we're talking to, our buddy, investigative journalist Gerald Posner. You need to be following this guy. You need to be all over what he's writing, and the best place to get it, not just regularly in the Wall Street Journal, but also at just the facts.media. My next question, Gerald, the big question is, if so many European countries that the left always points to as saying, well, they're doing it over there in Europe, if so many European countries have stopped doing this, saying it's harmful to children, how is this being allowed to continue pushing forward? And these folks are attempting to increase the transgender, gender-affirming treatments.
Boy, Mike, if you had asked me that question 2 or 3 years ago, I would have thought to you that the U.S. maybe would lead the way out of this madness, or what I call one of the greatest surgical medical scandals since lobotomies. But instead, it's the other way around. It's the progressive European countries, including the Scandinavian countries, that were at the forefront of doing this experimentation on children, that now, after 15 years, have said, oh, sorry, maybe that wasn't such a great idea, after these kids are left with all types of permanent changes and have amputated body parts. And in the United States, part of the reason that we are stuck on this is become a cause for major LGBT groups. So they've added the T onto LGBT as a fundraising. The Human Rights Campaign, one of the biggest that sort of ranks corporations in that, has gone full in for transgender rights. And it's really not the same at all, because, if a child eventually decides by the time they're a teenager or 18, they feel as though they're attracted to the same sex and they're gay, they don't have to amputate body parts in order to live out their life for their sexual choice. Transgender is completely different. It's requiring children to amputate body parts to make permanent choices at a time when they're teens. We don't allow them to get driver's license, until they're 16. We don't allow them to get tattoos until they're 18, that make these choices that they can never change again. We don't allow them to drink or to smoke, and yet transgender progressives believe that you should be able to make choices about your body that you can never reverse. It's absolute madness that we, the United States, are now the most progressive when it comes to this.
Well, it looks like more than half the country's states have laws that are trying to protect the kids. We're at 26 states. This decision won't come out for a while. After yesterday's hearing, there seemed to be a consensus among most of the media that the conservative majority of the court will uphold Tennessee's law and therefore probably support the other 25 states. Is that what you're thinking? And when do you anticipate we'll hear this?
I think we'll know in June or July at the very latest. I do think that the court, listening to the arguments, will uphold the law. There's a small possibility that they could say that they send it back to the lower court to decide. But I think that they are actually going to say that this is not against the Constitution. The question mark that I had yesterday after listening to the arguments was where Gorsuch would come down. Gorsuch, conservative justice, he was the one who wrote a few years ago a big Supreme Court decision, the only one that had reached the court on transgender, called the Bostock decision, that ruled you cannot have employment discrimination against transgender individuals. And he wrote the majority in that. Gorsuch was quiet yesterday in the 2 hours of oral arguments. Very rare for him, because he's usually asking questions and quite active, and really not a peep from him. So he just was unusual because he was quiet. No one's quite sure what that means. And as a lawyer, I'm a non-practicing lawyer. I was thinking, if you have an issue of transgender before the court, and I don't know if this is the case with Gorsuch, but if one of the justices, for instance, have a grandchild that's going through gender confusion or being treated for gender dysphoria or something like that, has a family member, should that justice recuse themselves, whether conservative or whether liberal? I'm not sure. You understand, it can be a very personal issue. So I'm not sure what's going on with Gorsuch, but his silence was striking yesterday.
That's something we'll keep our eyes on when the decision finally comes down months from now. That always frustrates me when we have to wait and wait and wait. His name is Gerald Posner.
Well,
yeah, go ahead.
Mike, of course, you could always have what you had happen, in the Dobbs decision. Somebody will leak it before it's out, so we don't have to wait to June, and then they'll never be found, isolated, prosecuted, or named. So who knows?
Maybe they'll leak it to you, Gerald, and you'll be the guy who gets to break it. Wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't that be great?
I'll be on the show to discuss it with you. We'll break it together on morning radio.
Wouldn't that be wonderful? Gerald Posner is his name. Find him on social media, justthefacts.media, at Gerald Posner on Twitter, X, and usually wherever I am on the radio. My friend, thank you again.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Mike.
And there he goes. Gerald Posner, always a font of knowledge and great legal advice. And as he said, he's the favorite kind of lawyer because he's not practicing. I wonder if Mr. Rogers would be under attack today with all the trans madness. For those of you that don't remember, Mr. Rogers would be the best person to educate the Supreme Court. He should come in and just bring in his little piano.
Boys are boys from the beginning. Girls are girls right from the start. Everybody's fancy, everybody's fine. Your body's fancy, and so is mine.
And if they needed any additional clarification, Mr. Rogers, give them the breakdown.
Only girls can be the mummies.
Yeah.
Only boys can grow up and be the daddies. Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
It works out pretty simply if you just think about it. It's biology. It's not that hard. I can't wait for the decision. And I'm sure that the left will freak out. Maybe there will be a leak. Gerald brought up a good point. We still have, I still have to do some of the Doge breakdown. There was breaking news in the world of Doge, and Elon Musk and Vivek are running around the halls of Congress, and there's a freak out from people on the left. Tim Walz surfaced. We haven't seen Kamala in a while. Tim Walz surfaced, and our buddy Dr. Mike Roizen with some advice to make us all a little bit healthier, younger, live longer, all that good stuff. It's Mike Opelka in for Zeoil on Zeoil Show on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
This is Larry Steinhaus with Investor Schooling. Are you ready for retirement? Have you prepared everything you need? Well, in Investor Schooling, we will teach you ways to better prepare for your retirement using real estate and the stock market. But you need to learn how to do it right, and that's what we teach. At Investor Schooling, we sell nothing but education. Come to Investor Schooling and learn how to have a better retirement. Go to investorschooling.com and RSVP right now for this Thursday's class at 7 o'clock. Go to investorschooling.com. That's investorschooling.com. This is Larry Steinhaus with Investor Schooling. Are you tired of hearing about the recession that's coming? Are you prepared for it? Well, listen, at investorschooling.com, we're going to teach you ways to prepare for the recession that you didn't even know existed. We're going to teach you strategies on how to use real estate. We're going to teach you strategies how to use the stock market properly. That's right, you can even make money in the stock market when the stock market goes down. Hey, go to investorschooling.com and register for a free class this Thursday night, and you will learn all of these techniques. Go to investorschooling.com right now, RSVP for this Thursday. We'll see you there.
With so much uncertainty in the world today, you may find yourself wondering, is now even the right time to retire?
And so many people are waiting, and those folks are going to be waiting a really long time, I hate to say, because there's no perfect time. The market is always unpredictable and volatile.
Fortunately, Jim Cipriotti has been helping get people to, through, and beyond retirement for over 25 years. And each week, he wants to help give you that freedom to retire. Listen to Freedom to Retire with Jim Cipriotti, Saturday mornings at 9 and Sunday afternoons at 5 on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
Attention Medicaid patients.
If you're on Medicaid, how would you like if your caretaker was your daughter, your son, your grandchild, or your close friend? If you're on Medicaid, Freedom Care allows you to choose who provides your care, and that caregiver will get paid instantly after their shift. Yes, your caregiver will get paid instantly, and it's 100% free to you if you are on Medicaid. Call 267-692-3782 and ask Freedom Care how to get started with care today. No more worrying about getting care from an aide at an agency. Freedom Care helps you choose who you want to take care of you, and that person gets paid. Call Freedom Care at 267-692-3782, 267-692-3782 to get started today. You get a caregiver you know and trust, and they get paid instantly after their shift, and it's free to you. Start now by calling 267-692-3782, 267-692-3782, or go to freedomcare.com.
Freedom Care, we're here for you.
Local news can come at you fast. Want the latest on what's happening in your backyard? Download the free Odyssey app. Follow your local news station, and you'll get alerts on the top stories making headlines in your city. You can stay in the know, no matter what you're up to, and be among the first to find out when news breaks. Plus, keep tabs on weather and traffic, so you're never caught off guard. To get started, download the Odyssey app. That's AUDACY, and follow your local news station.
Hey girl, it's your new night guy, Jimmy Fallon in the house from 7 to 10 p.m. on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT and free on the Odyssey app.
I can't believe we go from Claire de Lune to Enter Sandman.
I was going to play Nirvana.
It's okay. It's okay. It makes sense. It's Michael Opelka for Rich Zeoil on the Zeoil Show on this Friday night. And just looking here, it's December 6th. And I know it's like 19 days until Christmas, 18 days till Christmas Eve. There's a problem here. My advent calendar, my bourbon advent calendar only has 2 doors left to open. There's got to be something wrong here. I got to look into that. We'll see what's going on. Maybe somebody's opened a few doors without asking. I'm just saying, it's just kind of a crazy idea. We have our buddy Dr. Michael Roizen joining us right now. One of the things that I really want to make sure that we look at 2025 as a year, especially with Robert Kennedy coming in to the Trump administration and focusing on making America healthy again, is doing smart things. And one of the people I talk to every week, if you're here on the weekend show, you understand, we talked to Dr. Michael Roizen. He's been in the Cleveland Clinic for years. He's friends with Dr. Oz. They wrote 9 bestsellers together. Think about that. 9 bestsellers. And it's always about how to be smarter to live longer and younger and all that good stuff. And Dr. Roizen has a project called Longevity Playbook. LongevityPlaybook.com. And you can go there and check it out and see the stuff they have. They have a newsletter that they will send you. And I use it because I'm trying to take control of my life and my health and live younger and better. And I've been talking to Dr. Roizen every week for 5.5, maybe 6 years on the radio, virtually. I mean, he's got weeks where he's off and he's off playing golf or going somewhere. Same thing for me. But Dr. Michael Roizen is here with us. I appreciate the time. We go over a little trends and tips and research and how you can be healthier and all that good stuff. Dr. Roizen, I appreciate you so much being here. It's always educational, and thank you, sir. We're glad you're here.
My pleasure. The idea is to help your audience choose to get healthy, make choices that change the way their genes function. They're genetic, as we talk about all the time. You are the best genetic engineer for you, because when your lifestyle changes, turn on or off the switches that control over 80%, probably over 90% of your genes. And that means how long you live healthily is largely under your control.
Well, you talk about that in some of the research this week. Midlife choices may offset the genetic risk for dementia, stroke, or even late life depression. And does this mean that changing your daily life can really beat your genetic predisposition?
Well, what this was a large study. I think it was 400,000 people, and they looked at what their midlife choices were, and they followed them for, I think it was 20 years. This is people on the average who were between 50 and 68 to begin with and didn't have dementia. They followed them with their life choices, and it turned out that those who made the healthiest choices had over a 60% reduction in dementia compared to those who made what we would call average American choices. And even those who had the predisposition were also had a 60% reduction in dementia risk. So, independent of your genetics, you can reduce your risk by changing the switches that control your genes.
I like to tell people you're never out of it in life. You're never out of it. You always got a chance to change the direction, even in a small manner, by making changes in your life in a lot of ways. And we're talking about health ways. Doc, I have a question about one of your research items here, and I may have a different theory. Number 11 says U.S. epidemic of STD infections, sexually transmitted diseases, shows signs of slowing. Could that be because of the sex strike from the people who aren't happy with the election results?
This has occurred before the election results.
Okay.
From about 2000 to 2020, and specifically from 2018 to 2020, the risk of sexually transmitted diseases more than doubled from 2000 to 2020. And from 2018 to 2020, it went up by about 60%. So a lot of that increase was in those 2 years. Up a double, more than a double since 2000. It's kind of like the inflation rate, right? The cost of things went up and has stabilized but hasn't come down.
Would it be interesting if there were a direct parallel? I'm going to have to look into that with some economics guys I talk to. And while we're on this subject of things that are changing and increasing or decreasing, excessive drinking, which is always a worry, is still going higher even after the pandemic, because we thought maybe the pandemic was causing people to drink more.
Well, from 2018 to 2021, alcohol consumption went up 20%. From 2021 to 2023, it still is going up, but only went up 4%. So going up, but not any place near as fast. Obviously, alcohol-related deaths, though, and obesity-related deaths have both increased incredibly a lot.
Yeah, that's not good.
It seems like even though alcohol consumption is going up, it's being confined to a smaller group that is really consuming.
So binge drinking may be there, and we all know binge drinking is much, much worse than just casual drinking.
You got it.
Okay. We're in the winter months now, Doc. After October 15th, I consider my supply of free vitamin D from the sun to be cut off. You're saying, or at least the research is telling us, that vitamin D supplements might be beneficial now, especially in lowering blood pressure in seniors.
Well, this was a study in obese seniors. So it wasn't just seniors. It was people whose body mass index or whose waist was protruding, shall we say. And in those people, getting them to a higher dose of vitamin D was correlated in this randomized controlled trial with a lower blood pressure. Now, that also goes with another story last week, a decrease in autoimmune disease in those who take vitamin D in middle age. And almost all of the decrease was in women. So now we've seen a lot of correlates between vitamin D level and disease prevalence, but in randomized studies, we haven't seen much benefit. These are the first two studies that show a substantial benefit in a consistent fashion of vitamin D. Now, the obesity reduction, that is the benefit in people who are obese, may also be due to the basic science, which shows that if you take high vitamin D, you actually put calories into muscle rather than putting it into fat. That is a very interesting thing. You partition the excess fat into muscle rather than into fat. Very interesting change that may explain some of the difference. We don't know why that is, of course.
That's really interesting that your body reacts that way to the vitamin D. That's pretty cool. Doc, speaking of pretty cool, I read an article about 2 weeks ago that claimed that AI technology, artificial intelligence technology, was making huge advances in diagnosing patients and in looking at the overall health of patients. Where are we with AI trying to put you doctors out of business?
It's not there yet. It is a help in some of the areas, but it hasn't, how do I say, it needs an assistant to implement it and to help patients be motivated to change behavior and to get to the right access and treatments. So where is it now in doing some of the routine things, the phone calls post-discharge? How are you doing? And in alerting people with escalations to physicians or nurses when there is a problem, and averting the problem from getting serious enough to have to be a rehospitalization. So it's doing a bunch of those, and it's doing those well. But as far as the actual replacement of medical care, we aren't there yet.
AI is great for analyzing data, but I don't think anything will ever beat that human connection with someone who's your healthcare provider, and or, as you correctly nailed it, the motivation factor. Your doctor really can speak to you, I think, more and better than any machine ever will be able to. And that's why I'm glad to hear what you were just saying there, Dr. Roizen. His name is Dr. Michael Roizen. He's got myriad books out there that you could find and learn about what he's been doing. But the best place to go today is to go to longevityplaybook.com and get yourself on track to make yourself younger, longer, healthier, and be your own genetic engineer, doctor. I so thank you for all your time and information, my friend.
My privilege, and I hope you keep warm, much warmer than we are today in Cleveland.
Yeah. Cleveland got hammered. Cleveland got absolutely hit. The lake effect snow. We hope it's not coming here. It's cold anyway, but thanks, doctor. I love checking out the YouTube chat and how many of you are fans of Dr. Roizen. Because I never know. You know, I talk to this guy every week, and it's like he's my buddy. But he really has helped me. And yes, Kevin Puls wrote and said he's really friends with Oz. Yeah, they've known each other for years. I think more than 9 New York Times bestsellers on health that they co-authored together. He's a big stinking deal. You don't realize that this little crazy Saturday evening show does big guests that we have all the time, and we're happy to share them with the Zeoil show audience. All right, I almost have to get out of here. We're running out of time. I've got a couple more stories I want to touch on, a couple more thoughts to share with you. And if you have anything to share as well, you're always welcome. At 855-839-1210 is the number. It's Opelka in for Zeoil Friday night on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
Prescription products require completion of an online medication consultation with an independent healthcare provider through the LifeMD platform and are only available if prescribed. Subscription required. Individual results may vary. Additional restrictions apply at lifemd.com. Read all warnings before using GLP-1s. Side effects may include a risk of thyroid C-cell tumors. Do not use GLP-1s if you or your family have a history of thyroid cancer.
Should GLP-1 weight loss medication like Wegovy and Zepbound cost hundreds of dollars? We don't think so. TryLifeMD.com helps provide insurance access to the leading GLP-1 medications. Visit TryLifeMD.com to get your free insurance benefits check and see your eligibility in minutes. Listen to Tara's story after losing 42 pounds.
You just take your shot. It doesn't feel like you're on a diet. What I wasn't expecting it to do was to shut off the food noise. I'd gone from 237 to 195. This was life-altering, and if I can do it, I feel like anybody can do it.
Get started right now with your free insurance benefits check and see your eligibility for coverage in minutes at TryLifeMD.com. That's TRYLIFEMD.com.
Hey, Dawn here. When it comes to your home, trust is everything. For 45 years, Kitchen Magic has built a reputation for transforming kitchens with precision and care. From custom cabinets to countertops, backsplashes, in just a few days, your dream kitchen becomes a reality without all the hassle. Trust the name your neighbors have relied on for decades. Kitchen Magic. Get your free in-home consultation at kitchenmagic.com. kitchenmagic.com. Let's cook up something extraordinary. Tell Dawn sent you.
Hey, thanks so much for listening to the show. If you ever miss a show, check out my podcast for free on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
The Rich Zeoil Show podcast is sponsored by Mike Venaria Jr. with Ausperity Private Wealth.
Hi, I'm Mike Venaria Jr. Financial planning can be stressful regardless of market conditions. I can help you simplify the process. Call me at 856-252-0107.
Securities through Sanctuary Securities, Inc., member FINRA SIPC, advisory services through Sanctuary Advisors, LLC, and SEC registered investment advisor. It's a great month to get a luxurious new Volvo from Cherry Hill Volvo. You'll be thankful because there's so many fabulous offers to take advantage of. Lease an all-wheel drive XC90 for as low as $687 per month using all applicable rebates. Costco members save even more, up to $2,000 in additional rebates. See store for details. Customers enjoy the stress-free and satisfactory experience Cherry Hill Volvo provides. Cherry Hill Volvo, where relationships really do matter.
Hi, this is Dom Giordano at Batteries Plus Bulbs in Mount Laurel and Northfield. My friend Roy is looking for help. A handy do-it-yourselfer would be ideal. It's a great low-pressure environment with both full-time and part-time jobs available. Plus, if you're the entrepreneurial type, Roy is always interested in bringing in new services. But above all, customer service key. If you're willing to do what it takes to help, you need to talk to Roy. Be part of the team. They power it, they light it, they fix it. Call 856-638-0778. Batteries Plus Bulbs, Mount Laurel and Northfield.
Hey, radio listeners, don't miss the Legacy Box Cyber Week sale going on now.
You've heard about Legacy Box all year long, and with our Cyber Week sale, now is the time to take advantage of our best sale of the year. Legacy Box is the most meaningful gift you can give this holiday season. It's simple, safe, and has been trusted by millions.
That's right, it's our best sale of the year. Right now, when you go to LegacyBox.com, you can save an unreal 65% on your Legacy Box.
And for a limited time, you can preserve your tapes, film reels, and photos for as low as $27, saving you hundreds.
Hurry, our best sale of the year won't last long. Visit LegacyBox.com for an unreal 65% off during our Cyber Week sale. With limited quantities ready to ship, this deal will go fast.
Shop our Cyber Week sale now at LegacyBox.com/value to take 65% off. Buy your Legacy Box today and send in when you're ready. LegacyBox.com/value.
Rich Zeoil from the Cherry Hill Volvo Studios, where relationships matter, on Talk Radio 1210 and the free Odyssey app.
Running, head out on the highway, looking for adventure, and whatever comes our way. Yeah, I gotta go make it happen. Take the world in a loving embrace. Fire all of the guns at once and explode into space. I like smoking lightning.
Yes, I am born to be wild. It's Mike Opelka for Rich Zeoil on a Friday night. Zeoil back on Monday. He's just having a little, it wasn't Tommy John surgery, just having some bone spurs taken care of. And I want to know, where the hell was Jimmy Minnelli earlier? I just checked it on the YouTube chat. Jimmy just showed up. Yes, we covered the Pete Hegseth story. We covered Hegseth was on thin ice on Wednesday. The ice started thickening yesterday, and I think it got pretty solid today. And I'm willing to go out there on a limb and say that I think Hegseth is going to be confirmed. I really think he's going to be confirmed. Politico is even saying he's gaining momentum. They're not stepping out and saying he's got it. But Donald Trump has come out and said, listen, I'm behind Pete. And this is after Pete said, I'm going to stay in the fight as long as Donald Trump supports me. So if you've got the president-elect support and you're willing to go through the smear fire, you're going to walk on the coals that the mainstream media is throwing out there, I think he's got what it takes. And the left is going to keep fighting. Why? because, as I think Rich said this yesterday, Hegseth represents a distinct shift away from business as usual between the Pentagon and the military-industrial complex. Trump is all for a strong military, but he doesn't want us constantly fighting either these proxy wars around the globe or funding these nation-building adventures. It really is a smart way to be. And I have a tendency to support the businessman on this one. So I'm hopeful there. Also, I'm going to make a couple other predictions here. I believe Kash Patel's going to get through. And the left is really going to, next week, watch next week, they are going to go after Kash Patel in a major fashion. Kash Patel will turn the FBI inside out. And he said it. He has said so much. Kash, who's, if you've been around the Saturday show, you know, Kash was a regular. We've had Kash Patel on the show so many times. We've talked to him everywhere from at CPAC to just running into him. When he put out his book, Government Gangsters, which if you're interested, it's a quick read. Government Gangsters, it's got the enemies list in it that the left is saying, oh, he's got an enemies list. You don't think they have an enemies list? You don't think the Democrats and their cohorts in the mainstream media have an enemies list? You have not been paying attention. Kash Patel will get confirmed. Pete Hegseth will get confirmed. I believe Tulsi Gabbard will get confirmed. And the Tulsi Gabbard hearing will be very tough because Tulsi Gabbard is somebody that they consider they lost. Tulsi Gabbard is somebody that they thought they had, and then Hillary turned on her to get her out of the race for the nomination. Tried to say she was a Russian asset. They're going to go after and try and play that card again. Rolling Stone has a ridiculous headline yesterday that came out on their website. Ex-aides say Gabbard regularly consumed Russian state media. Remember when Hillary Clinton came out and told us that we all need to watch Al Jazeera Network, that it was better and more reliable than the American media? I'm old enough to remember that. I watch MSNBC because I want to know what they're up to. Of course, Tulsi Gabbard is checking out what's going on in Russian state media. They're going to try this trope again to say that Tulsi Gabbard is a Russian asset, just like they tried to say Donald Trump was a Russian asset. Remember that? Remember that old canard? Oddly enough, as we're speaking, Tucker Carlson happens to be in Russia. He's in Moscow, and he's sitting down and talking to people. Tucker put out a piece recently where he talked with the Russian foreign minister, Sergei Lavrov, about Donald Trump. And there were some astounding things that were said about Donald Trump by the Russian foreign minister. And it doesn't sound like they're best buddies, but it sounds like they're respectful opponents. Check it out.
What do you think of Donald Trump?
I met him several times when he was having meetings with Putin and when he received me twice, I think, in the Oval Office when I was visiting for bilateral talks.
I got to stop for a second. Sean, you're too young to remember the Rocky and Bullwinkle show, the animated show Rocky and Bullwinkle, but there was, Boris Badenov, the Russian. He talks like this, make big trouble for the moose and squirrel, but he sounds just like it. But listen to what he's saying when asked about Donald Trump.
Well, I think he's a very strong person, a person who wants results, who doesn't like procrastination on anything. And this is my impression. He's very friendly in, discussions, but this does not mean that that he is pro-Russian, as some people try to present him.
Yeah, the Russians understand what the left side of the mainstream media is trying to do. He's not pro-Russian, as some people try to present him. Yeah, they know. Lavrov knows. He understands that Donald Trump was pretty tough on Russia.
The amount of sanctions we received under the Trump administration was very, very, very big. And we respect any choice which is made by the people when they vote.
Which is kind of interesting because Russia really hasn't had free elections in quite some time. Putin's basically been president for life. But the reality is Donald Trump's not a Russian asset. He's made life tough for the people in Russia. And you got it from the foreign minister himself. I love this. I love the fact that it's out there. The story's out there. We shall see what happens. But I'm making my predictions. Okay, so predictions so far. Hexeth, going to get through. Going to be tough. The hearings are going to be interesting. He's going to get through. Kash Patel, going to get through. Tulsi, I believe she's going to get through. And it's killing them because the people that were in charge of monitoring Tulsi Gabbard, that put her on the watch list, on the Safe Skies list, where they had two, not one, but two agents following her every time she got on a plane, they're now going to be working for her unless they resign and retire beforehand. Just amazing stuff. There is so much amazing stuff happening. This is fantastic. And of course, I'm looking forward to Robert Kennedy kind of cleaning up and helping everybody get healthy again. I hope one of the things that I really hope happens, this is going to be a tough one. I would love to see the pharmaceutical ads off TV. Love to see it. Absolutely love to. I think it's a great abuse. Nobody else in the world does it. And it does drive the doctors crazy because they get people coming in and go, I heard somebody talk about Screwitol, that I need a daily dose of Screwitol to make me not care about things. Yes, you need 500 milligrams of Screwitol every single day. No, we need to fix that. And then I'm going to leave you with one crazy story. And that was Democrat Representative Zeoil Lofgren, who was on CNN. This is cut 14, Sean. Zeoil Lofgren was on CNN with Jim Acosta. And can you tell what happened in this clip? Something other than a discussion happened. Cut 14. Do you not have it, Sean? It's okay if you don't.
That power of the purse is with the legislative branch, not the president.
And I do want to ask you, because of your work on the January 6th committee.
There it was. Can you play that again? Can we hear that one more
That
time?
power of the purse is with the legislative branch, not the president.
And I do want to ask you, because of your work on the January 6th committee.
I believe that there was a gaseous release. The same kind of gas that the left gets mad when they talk about cows or Jerry Nadler. Now, someone took that video and put it in front of what they say is one of those heat cameras, and they show a cloud going up behind Zeoil Lofgren after that moment. I cannot confirm that actually happened. All I can tell you is I'm glad I was not in the room. Yeah. It's Mike Opelka saying thank you. Thank you, Sean. Thank you, everybody that participated. All you guys on the chat on YouTube. You are the best. I will not be back Saturday night. I'll be back when Zeoil needs me over the Christmas holidays. And until next time, next Saturday night, the 14th, it's Mike Opelka reminding you, testudo, my friends, testudo.
Are you worried about the state of the economy? Concerned about market crashes and rising inflation wiping out your savings? At Noble Gold Investments, we understand your fears and have a solution. Call us today at 1-888-403-1050. Imagine safeguarding you and your family with a tangible asset that has stood the test of time. Gold. With Noble Gold Investments, you can diversify your portfolio and protect your wealth from economic turmoil. Our team will guide you through the process, ensuring you make informed decisions that best suit your needs. Call Noble Gold Investments today at 1-888-403-1050. That's 1-888-403-1050. The future is uncertain. Take control.